Hi, I'm Chris Haroun, and this MBA degree program is not what you think it is. It's better. This program is more than 25 years of business experience, all rolled into one easy-to-access online program. I've sold over 1 million courses in every single country. I've worked at Goldman Sachs. I have an MBA from Columbia University. And I've worked in the venture capital, hedge fund, and consulting industries. I've also started many companies, and my courses have been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, CNN, and NBC. If you're ready to nail your next interview, get a better job, get a raise, start that business you've always dreamt of, improve the one you currently run, or better manage your personal finances, then this MBA degree program is for you. I can't begin to tell you how comprehensive this program is. It's got everything, including more than 300 hours of on-demand video. I would have to do one of those dramatic opening title crawls from a certain space movie just to show you. And check out all the amazing reviews from students who have already enrolled in this MBA degree program. This on-demand version of the program is only $499, and it's more up to date than many of these old-fashioned MBA programs, which cost you well over $100,000. Not to mention, they don't even teach you the practical concepts included in my program. Last but not least, there is a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. And because you can access this program from any device, meaning a desktop computer or a laptop computer or a tablet or even your smartphone, it means you can comfortably fit it into your schedule. Even if you work full-time, it's no problem. So if you're ready to unlock the key to your potential, then I'll see you in class. Good morning and welcome to our 97th weekly webcast. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so the way the call works is I answer any questions you have. This is an AMA like on Reddit. AMA means ask me anything. And the call ends in 3 hours again. You can ask me business questions, personal questions, career questions, etc. Now, within 24 hours of this call being completed, what my team does is if you go to the description field of this YouTube video, you'll see every single question asked at the exact times as well. So you can immediately jump to that point so I can save you time. So without further ado, let's begin. And thank you as always. I can't believe this is number 97. 100 is just around the corner. So our first question is from Shubham, who's saying, hey, Chris, hope you're doing well. Likewise. Closing in on the prestigious 100 weekly webcast. It's amazing, eh? And then you wrote here, how frequently do you think the CEO of a company should be engaging with their fresh hires or interns? Yeah. So I would say that if it's a small company, meaning less than 50 people, then the CEO should have definitely interviewed a new hire or an intern at least one time, And in terms of mentoring, I think that at least one breakfast meeting per year per employee in a company that has 50 employees. And it's a great way to mentor as well as to make sure that the corporate culture stays intact amongst every rank within the company. And I remember when I worked at Goldman Sachs years ago, there's a wonderful man named Jacques Martin who was in charge of the international trading floor. And every year he'd ask me for breakfast and everybody else as well. And I cherish those moments because I learned so much from him. He was a wonderful mentor. And the great thing about mentoring is that when one mentors, two learn, kind of like when one teaches, two learn. And so I encourage all of you to please seek out multiple mentors at the company that you work at. And one's in different departments as well, because they can help you out a lot. And all you have to do is ask. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. Ask and you'll receive. Last thing I'll say is that it's really important for you to also mentor other people, because what happens is it kind of reinforces what your beliefs are from a business perspective and what your best practices are, so that you're kind of teaching yourself again when one teaches to learn. Thank you. Great question. All right. Next question is, as I progress with my education and learn so many new things, I tend to get very indecisive on which field to go into. It's becoming easier to access educational content of any field and becoming more difficult to choose a career path. What would your advice be on that? Yeah, it's a great question. So I didn't find my true passion in life until my 40s, which is teaching. I love doing this, even though I make a lot of mistakes. But I was confused when I was younger. At one point I wanted to go to Wall Street when I worked at Goldman Sachs. Then that wasn't enough money, and I was such an idiot at the time for saying that or thinking that. And then I wanted more money, so I worked at a big hedge fund called Citadel, recruited me to the West Coast. Then I wasn't happy enough, and I wanted to do something long-term focused, so I did venture capital. And I was kind of happy, but not really. And then finally, I started teaching. I was like, oh my gosh, I found my passion, my purpose, my raison d'être, so to speak. And I really do believe that if you chase money, you lose your dreams and your money. But if you chase your dreams, as long as you're willing to fail at least a couple times, and please fail at least a couple times, then something amazing will happen. Your dreams will come true, and the money will follow accidentally. That's right. And I've got this great quote right behind me from Michael Jordan, which is, I've failed over and over and over again in my career, and that's why I succeed. So you just got to keep trying new careers until you find something you're happy about. And I think the way that you'll find it, it's kind of like true love. You don't know the feeling until you feel it for the first time. It's kind of like holding your firstborn or a child you adopted for the first time. You get this unbelievable sense of euphoria that kicks in, a level of happiness you never thought you'd feel before. And that's what doing a job that you love doing feels like. Not as good, because kids are more important, obviously, but it's that kind of euphoric feeling, that lightning in a bottle that you feel deep down inside. And for me, I never felt it until job career-wise, until my 40s when I started teaching. And so regardless what anybody expects of you or thinks you should accomplish in life, I want you to just say no to them or Heisman them, that great trophy of the Heisman, and then just live your life on your own terms and do what you were meant to be doing and do what you love doing. Otherwise, you'll always be someone else's prisoner in your mind. And it's hard to really know what we want to do, especially at a younger age. And yes, we do change over time as well. But I think that the best advice I can give you is that if I give you 30 days off, let's just say that you're not working or going to school for 30 days, what are you going to be doing with your time? That is what your career should be, no matter what anybody tells you. Like, don't let anybody tell you what to do in life, what to be in life. This is your life, and anybody that tells you that, I don't care who they are, is incredibly selfish. Do what makes you happy. And I promise you, everything else in life will fall into place. Of course, you have to take a lot of risks, though, and fail fast, and keep falling forward, so to speak, until you reach that point where you wake up one day and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting up to go to work. I'm getting up because I have a passion. I love doing what I'm doing. Once you feel that butterfly happy type feeling deep down inside, then you'll know you've found what you were meant to do on this earth. Not the other earth, this earth. I don't know what that means. Right. Next question is, what were your biggest mistakes when you first started giving speeches and presentations? Yeah, boy, I made a ton of mistakes. I think the biggest mistake was I gave a damn what people thought of me. And you can't live your life that way. Otherwise, you'll always be someone else's prisoner. As Les Brown said it, someone else's expectations of you does not have to become your reality. You just got to say, I don't care. And it's really therapeutic, at least it was for me. Fill in the blank. Let's do an exercise together. I want you to get a piece of paper, and I want you to write down the following things. Number 1, I don't care about, and then fill in the blank, X. Number 2, I don't care about X. Just, it's a different variable every time. Do it 10 times. For example, I don't care what people think of the way I dress. I don't care what people think of my ethnic background. I'm proud of it, by the way. So I'm half Egyptian, and the other half is Lebanese, quarter Lebanese, yeah. And then the other quarter is Scottish, Irish, French. I'm Catholic. I got my green eyes from my grandmother's from Ireland. I guess your back part of her is. But I don't care what people think of me. I just want to be me. Yeah, I don't care what people think of my hair. It's a really bad hair dye, by the way, today. I don't know if you can tell, but there's too much black here. I left it in for too long. And that's why I have this top-down camera, because I don't care. I don't want people to see how much of an idiot I am when I try to color my hair the wrong way. But just fill in those blanks. Do it 10 times. I don't care what people think of me when I'm up on a stage. I'm not telling you to be rude or disingenuous, but I'm just telling you to, and I say with love in my heart, stop giving a damn what anybody thinks of you. And just get up there and be yourself. And the beautiful thing about presenting is that nobody knows you're nervous. Like when you're up there presenting and your knees feel like they might be shaking, nobody can see it. Nobody can see it. Nobody knows that you feel nervous at all, only you. And just tell yourself, I don't give a damn what they think. Now, there are a number of ways to learn how to be a good public speaker or a great public speaker. If you want to be a good public speaker, you can take my course on Udemy called the Complete Presentation Course. If you want to be a great public speaker, you can take a course by Dale Carnegie. He has a public speaking course which is offered all over the world. And for those of you who have not read Dale Carnegie's masterpiece of a book, this will change your life. It's a great book. See if I can grab it here. You like my bookends? Bull and bear for bull market, bear market. Got them from Etsy. So this book here, it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. It was written in the 1930s. It's an oldie but a goodie, and without it, amazing humans like Tony Robbins wouldn't be as successful as they are today. And he tells you how to deal with people. Human nature and human relationships has not changed since the 1930s. Get this book if you can on Audible and just listen to it. And I mention this a lot, but I'm never compensated by anybody to mention any products, please. I just want to humbly help if I can. But he talks about how to deal with people in business and that people are often creatures of emotion and not creatures of logic in business. And Dale Carnegie also has this great course I mentioned called the Dale Carnegie course. And he's got another book I want to show you before we go on here. So he's got this masterpiece of a book that nobody ever talks about, which I love. It's called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And he talks about how to live in what are called day-tight compartments, meaning I don't care what's happened in the past. I can't really control the future. A little bit maybe. I'm just going to enjoy today. Don't be that guy like I was that says, I want to have a perfect life. I want to have a lot of money. And then I'll start a family. No. What a horrible, horrible existence. And I remember it was in 08 or 09 during the financial crisis. And I was managing my hedge fund. And times were tough then. I remember I lived in a town called Burlingame, California. And the people on my left and the right, it was tragic. They lost their house. And things were really stressful. And I was stressed out. And I told my wonderful wife, Christine, I said, honey, I'm going to go for a drive down the coast of California. And for any of you guys that watch that, or girls watch that show, Little Liars, or Little Lies, I think it's called, on HBO. That beautiful drive you see in the opening scene by Big Sur, Monterey, etc. That's the drive I took. And I ended up in this small town called Monterey. And I was walking and I found this old Catholic church. It's not a religious thing. But I walked in and I sat down just to collect my thoughts. And a priest came up to me. And he said, is everything all right, son? And I said, you're not my dad. No, I didn't say that. I was thinking that. I'm just kidding. I said, yeah, I'm just kind of stressed out. And he said, why? And I said, well, I want to make sure that I can make a lot more money so I can give my children, my family, the best standard of living. And he said to me, he said, my son, I said, do I have to say it again? You're not my dad. No, I'm just kidding. He said, my son, nice guy, in 50 years, all your kids are going to remember is how good of a dad were you for them? Were you there for them? Not how much money you had. So it's kind of a useless existence to try to accumulate a lot of wealth in your life so that one day, for the last 10, 20, or 30 years of your life, whatever it is, you can enjoy that. It's an awful way to live. And another great book I want you to read, please, it's by the Dalai Lama. It's called The Art of Happiness. And the Dalai Lama said that the problem with Western society, and I was certainly guilty of this, especially when I worked at Goldman Sachs. Every bonus season, I was always depressed because there were people that made more. I was competitive and I was an idiot. But the Dalai Lama said the problem with Western society is we sacrifice our health, our entire lives in order to make money. And then at the end of our lives, we sacrifice all of our money in order to maintain our health. And then we look back and we realize we never really lived to begin with. Stop and smell the roses along the way. Enjoy your life as you progress. And don't give a damn what anybody thinks of you. And especially when you're giving a presentation. But the way to give a great presentation, a good presentation is take my course, but the way to give a great presentation is take one of Dale Carnegie's courses on public speaking. And Warren Buffett, who went to the same business school as I did, that's one of the only things we have in common. He also went to Columbia. He doesn't have his Columbia degree up on his wall. What he has on his wall is the certificate of completion from the Dale Carnegie public speaking course that he took when he was younger. And without it, he wouldn't have been as incredibly successful as he is today. Think about it. Every time Warren Buffett goes on TV and starts talking, when he's done, nobody ever says, I don't understand what he was talking about. He's a great communicator. And a lot of people think he's just a great investor. He's so much more. He can communicate. He can tell a story. He's self-deprecating, meaning he makes fun of himself. He's funny, but he knows how to communicate. And every time he's on television, it's a way for him to raise money, sort of, for Berkshire Hathaway, which has a market cap of over $400 billion. And so if he didn't learn how to communicate effectively and enjoy public speaking and not caring what people think of him, he would never have been as successful as he is today. Again, he took the Dale Carnegie training course, which helped him a lot. Now, if you can't go to the Dale Carnegie training course because it might be too expensive or you just don't have the time, what you can do is you can actually take what's called a Toastmasters course. So I want you to go to meetup.com, and this works in every country in the world, meetup.com. And what you can do is you can search for something called Toastmasters. And by the way, when you pull up this website, it knows where you are. It uses cookies, which is cool. Let it. It's a great website. But what you can do is you can actually learn to public speak for free by joining these groups. Look here. Somebody's doing it based on Zoom. I love it. When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. You make the best of what we got, right? And you can also do it in person as well. This works all over the world. Toastmasters is what it's called, which just means a website to go to if you want to give a great speech or learn how to give a great speech and practice in front of other people. Please don't care what anybody thinks of your career, the way you look, your choices in life, or when you're up there public speaking. Get up there and just enjoy yourself. And if you tell yourself in general that I just don't care what people think, you'll be happier, you'll live longer, so there'll be less stress in your life, and you'll be a better public speaker. You will. It's kind of like sometimes when we care too much about things, we don't do as well. Like I remember years and years ago, I was trying to interview to get a job, and I couldn't get a job, and I practiced so much, and I just didn't get it. And then I showed up one day for this interview at this great firm. And I got there right before it started. I just told myself, I just don't care. I'm just going to be me. And we know that in business, relationships are more important than product knowledge. You got to bond before business. Your network is your net worth. And so I was just myself. And I got that job. Now, One data point does not make a trend, but multiple do. And I got every job after that, and every customer, and every big business milestone in my life by having that I don't care attitude. I'm not telling you to be rude or disingenuous, but I'm just telling you to, and I say it with love in my heart, just relax and just be yourself. And just always bond before business, because relationships are more important than product knowledge. Just be you. Your family, your friends, they all love you for who you are. So don't work in a company and try to be somebody else, because it makes people respect you a little bit less. At least it happened to me a lot. People certainly respected me a lot less. Don't get into an elevator with a senior executive and be nervous. Like, gosh, what should I say? And then after you say it, after the ride's over, you're thinking, did I say the right thing? Did that hurt my career? Senior executives feel uncomfortable when you act like that. When I say you, I'm talking about me in hindsight. And I say it with love in my heart. Just be yourself. They'll love you for it. And if you're not yourself at work and you're too political, your colleagues won't respect you either. They won't. Nobody does. Just be you. It's easy. Because as Dr. Seuss said, those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Just be yourself, man. It's kind of like when you go on a date or you ask people out on a date. If you're trying too hard and you're too eager, it's not going to work. I'm not telling you to try harder. I'm telling you to try less hard, so to speak. And just be you, because, again, everybody loves you for who you are. So you be you. You do you. All right. Let me put these books back on my shelf. I got this new camera angle up here. So I'm an army of one, and I humbly try to teach my students how to do everything on their own, start their own company, etc. And I make a lot of mistakes, a ton of mistakes, but I'm trying to, and this is my treadmill under here, by the way. I get my 15,000 steps in a day by lifting the table up and getting my steps in. But I'm trying to get that look that John Oliver has, or Jimmy Kimmel at the beginning of a show, where the camera goes up. So that's one angle I've been experimenting with. The other angle I have, and I learned this from Dan Rather in his course, The Truth About the News, on Udemy. Great teacher, great journalist, no matter what anybody says. But I got this product because he recommended it. This is called a slider. And it gives a really nice B-roll look to it. It's going a little bit too slow now, but if you pick a point, you can see it's moving slightly. And I connected all this stuff with these pedals down here on the ground. I'm a nerd. I make a lot of mistakes, but I have fun. Why not? All right, let me put these back here. All right. And I did a case study recently for my MBA degree students on Coca-Cola down there, you see. And we talked a lot about Warren Buffett as well, and Warren Buffett's love for brands. He understands marketing brilliantly, too, because people are always going to pay a premium price for a brand that elicits an emotion. And that's why Coca-Cola spends so much money on advertising, too. Feel-good advertising. Okay. Next question is, what are your KPIs, which stands for important factors, right? KPI stands for important things. I don't remember what it stands for. Key performance indicators, that's it. That's what happens when you get older. You have senior moments. This morning I brushed my teeth, and then I brushed my teeth again. I just didn't remember. Yeah. So what are your key performance indicators for choosing the right person to hire? Yeah, that's a great question. So the most important thing for me is passion. If I interview somebody and it feels like they're interviewing for a job, it's not going to work out, because I want somebody to do what they love doing. And for example, in Silicon Valley, the difference between an average engineer, software programmer, and a great software programmer or engineer is literally 10x in performance. It's amazing, because they love doing what they're doing. They see it as a puzzle. And I used to be like that as well. I was kind of a brain on a stick, or a stick at least. You got to enjoy doing what you're doing. And if I sense that the person doesn't enjoy the job, then they're going to be miserable at work. And one bad apple destroys a whole darn bunch. They'll make everybody else miserable as well. So number one is passion. They have to absolutely love doing what they're doing. Number two, can they get along with everybody in your company? And I usually don't hire somebody until everybody in my firm has interviewed them at least 3 times. And I usually wait 6 months anyway and have them working kind of part-time or on contract or a side hustle while I work for somebody else. And I make sure to interview people in different settings: breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, going for a walk like Steve Jobs used to do with Larry Ellison all the time, and also in more of a corporate environment and a coffee shop as well, in all hours of the day. So you can see them from a 360-degree perspective, because you got to hire slowly. And I hate to say this, but fire quickly. Because every time you let somebody go, you're helping them too. I know it sounds messed up, and I've been let go before as well. You're helping them because that might not be their passion. It's true. And you look back years from now and say, I'm glad I was let go. And the other person will be as well happy that they let that person go. You got to hire slowly and fire quickly. Aside from passion, it all depends. Like if it's one of my startups, I look for somebody that's incredibly skilled in a certain domain, like programming, for example. I don't hire people in startups that don't have experience, because you got to be a jack of all trades and hit the ground running. So anyway, those are my humble thoughts on the KPIs, so to speak, in terms of what to look for. And when people give me references, I never call them, because it's so ridiculous. Because you're controlling who, your boss is going to be calling. It's like me saying, I really want this job. I want you to call my mom and my dad, my brother Jamie, Katie, Elizabeth, my sisters. They'll all say great things. So what I actually do is I do a ton of channel checks by calling people that know them. And you can do it on LinkedIn. Just find second degree connections and find a way to ask people. And when you get older, you're a little bit different when you give feedback. So when you were a kid, when I was a kid, if somebody asked me, what do you think of this person? You might say, oh, I don't like that person. Like, people are pretty transparent, a little too transparent. But when you get older, when somebody asks your opinion on a person, if you don't say something positive, like you say, yeah, I know that person, take that as a negative. You can read between the lines. So I do my own reference checks with my own contacts. Yeah. So that's the last KPI I guess I use, so to speak. All right. Give me a second. I am going to do a sound check and audio check to see if there's any questions or comments here. We're good. No complaints is good complaints. Thank you. All right. Next question is Danielle, who's saying, hi, Chris. Hey, man. Hope you and your family are doing well. Likewise. Thank you. I work in the cyber industry, and I believe it's the future. My question is, what are the ways to invest early in a company if it's not publicly traded? That's a great question. Yeah. So you can invest in venture capital firms if you want to. I would only invest in the top 10 venture capital firms on the planet, because I think they get all the great deals and everybody else fights for the scraps. And you have to, in some places in the world, you have to have a certain net worth, liquid net worth, to be able to invest in illiquid stocks like venture capital investments. And you have to fill out what are called subscription documents to make sure that you have that minimum net worth aside from your house or your apartment. And governments regulate the market sometimes this way on purpose. And I think it's a good thing, because they don't want average people to lose their shirt or be stuck in a relatively illiquid investment for many, many years. Every country is different. Now, if you wanted to invest in a private company but not through a venture capital firm, you can invest directly in startups. And usually the first round is called the seed round. And I did a vlog on this a couple of days ago. If you want, you can check it out. And in the seed round, it's usually a high net worth person that invests. And then after the seed round, if things take off and that little seed starts growing to a bigger plant and eventually a tree by IPO, but when it starts growing to a little plant, then venture capital firms come in and invest 1 year doing the A round, then the B round, then the C round, and then hopefully IPO one day. So the best bet is to get involved in the seed round. Do not invest money that you can't afford to lose, please. And just understand that you're probably not going to see that money for at least 10 years. So you're going to be a stockholder, very long-term focused. And make sure, most importantly, that you're given an investor memorandum, okay, or a legal document prepared by a lawyer that you can read and go through and understand all the risks in terms of dilution, etc.? And are you getting common or preferred shares? Let me explain what that means. So there are different classes of investments. There's debt, and I'll just discuss two others. There's debt, like bonds or loans, whatever. Then there's preferred shares, and then common shares. If a company goes bankrupt, the person to get their money back first, meaning the person with the most senior claim, is the debt holder. They always get their money back first. Then comes the preferred shareholders, meaning people that own equity in the company. It's called preferred shares, think of the word, they get preferential treatment. Then the lowest of the low is common shares. They're the ones that get their money back last. And when you invest in the stock market, you're actually, for the most part, buying common shares. But just understand going in what kind of shares you own, preferred or common. Hopefully it's preferred so you don't get as diluted in future rounds. And if it's a large amount of money you're considering investing in a startup, what I want you to do is I want you to get the investment memorandum and hire a lawyer to take a look at it. Okay. And you can go to legalzoom.com. I'm not affiliated with them or any company, but it's a way to get access to talking to lawyers for only $15 per half hour. They speak really slowly though, or no more dad humor. I'm sorry. And I also want you to get a lawyer to look at it and your accountant as well. And your accountant might convince you not to do it. And if you don't have an accountant, please get one. And if you don't know how to get one, ask your parents or your successful friends, aunts, uncles, whatever it is, for an accountant, because they will help you stay within the law. Usually, hopefully, if they're a good accounting firm, of course. And they'll also tell you whether or not investing in something makes sense or not, or if you can put it in your retirement savings account, etc. The last thing I'll say about that is, please don't ever invest in your friends' companies. Don't do it. I've made my friends a lot of money, but I have one particular friend who actually lost some money in a deal, and he turned into not the nicest person. Keep it separate. Keep it separate always if you can, please. People change when it comes to money sometimes. Okay. All right. Next up is Kim. Hey, Kim. Hi, Chris. Hope you and your family are keeping well. And many thanks for your very interesting weekly webinars. My pleasure. And thank you for coming as well. This is fun for me. And this is the first time I've seen you, and I hope you join us again, or the first time I've seen questions from you. Thank you. And then Kim is saying, I'm past the halfway mark of my MBA. Not sure that I wish to continue. I find it very theoretical and not real world. I'm battling to walk away due to the time and money spent and not getting the piece of paper. Also, some find the group work challenging, as many times group members are unreliable, I know what you mean, and do not follow through on their commitments, leaving one or two people to complete the work for the entire group. I'm interested in your MBA, but due to these experiences elsewhere, I'm cautious about more group work. I was wondering, how much group work is involved in your MBA degree program? Okay, so, and then you got a bunch of other questions. Thank you. Yeah. So first of all, I know exactly what you mean when it comes to group work. And Jeff Bezos at Amazon, he runs the company like a startup still, and he never allows any meeting to take place that requires more than 2 pizzas. It's called the 2 pizza rule, because we all know, and you certainly know, Kim, from your experiences, that the more people you have in a group, the less stuff people will get done. Too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak. So I hear you. And I understand all the theoretical stuff you're learning in school is not helpful. That's why I do what I do with my MBA degree program. So to answer your questions, how much group work is involved in your MBA? Not much, and it's voluntary. So there's not much group work at all. You can partner with other people if you want in the MBA degree program and help each other out through Zoom calls, or do Zoom calls with me. And with other students. It's up to you as well. I teach you how to be a great solopreneur, so to speak, starting your own company, an army of one, so to speak. And I have 158 students currently enrolled in my Platinum program. 2 of them dropped out and asked for their money back, and they got their money back in the first 30 days. And they've actually bonded a lot using Slack and using Zoom, but it's up to them entirely. and they practice public speaking with each other, and they practice pitching their business models with each other, and they're amazing. They're amazing. And if you want a reference, actually, what you can do is you can go to my website to learn more about the program. Go to harouneducation.com. And then what you can do is you can click, go right here actually, student testimonials. And you can read testimonials from students all over the world, go to their LinkedIn profiles, whatever it is, from many countries. And I have 41 countries represented in the first Platinum MBA degree program. They're great. So read the reviews here if you want. You can also click on their profiles, give them a call, whatever it is. I didn't tell them that they're getting a call, but I'm fully transparent. And ask them what the cons are first, okay? What are the negatives when you talk to them? And then go to the positives. Yeah. So that's that. And let me explain actually this in a little bit more detail. Okay. So the way that the program works is there's 3 versions. The first version, you can enroll starting today, and you get a 30-day 100% money back guarantee in all 3 versions. No other business school does that. Yeah. And actually the cost of 1 hour at top business schools is $500. It's true. We've done the research, including room, board, lost wages, all that stuff. So you can enroll today, and it's over 300 hours of lessons. You can start immediately, and you can binge watch it as well. You can get it done. The minimum amount of time you can get it done is probably 6 or 7 months, or you can take a number of years. Okay, so you can enroll today. So that's that one. That's 300 hours of lessons using all 5 or 6 of my 4K cameras. I'm a nerd, I know. Now, the next version is called the gold version, which is identical to the silver version, except you get over 200 hours of live Q&A. And it's probably a heck of a lot more than that even. So after each topic, we go to live Q&A. People join on Zoom, or they just type questions like you're doing right now. And they can watch replays, of course. This one here, it actually starts in December. Okay, so it's a 1-year program that I do with my students. Now, there's one more version here. Okay, it's called the Platinum version. And the Platinum version is exactly like the gold version. That's everything gold version has, except one more thing. It's got several hours of one-on-one meetings with me using Zoom or in person in the San Francisco Bay Area. So check it out. And for all the FAQs, you can just scroll down here and read them, whatever. And if you want, you can click here on Enroll Today and just look at a bunch of videos. I usually make at least 10% of all my courses free so people can kind of understand what they're getting themselves into. So you can scroll down here and just look at a bunch of lessons we have here, and it goes on and on and on forever. Yeah. But thank you very much for your interest. I appreciate it. And I completely understand your frustrations when it comes to group work and learning theoretical stuff in business schools that you can't apply in the real world. And like, you're never going to use those supply and demand graphs that you might be learning about now, unless you want to become an economist, which is 0.01% of all MBA students. A lot of the stuff you're learning might have been helpful last century, literally, but they don't teach you social media. They don't teach you about cryptocurrencies. They don't teach you important skills like how to sell, how to get a job, how to interview, and how to start a company. When you graduate business school, it should be that you understand how to start a company. But most people that graduate business school, they don't know how to start a company. And they're never taught how to write a business plan even in business school, or how to get customers, or how to sell. It's ridiculous. And the most tragic thing is you're taught how to manage other people's money, but not your own. And I remember when I graduated from business school, and I'm very humbled that I went to a decent school, and I'm proud that I went there, and I met a lot of great people there. And you probably learn more from your fellow students than you will your teachers in most business schools, by the way. But when I graduated, and I was in my 30s eventually when I was older, I called my buddies up that also did an MBA in finance with me. And I was like, hey, man, I'm looking to buy an apartment. How does a mortgage work? And they're like, I don't know. I had to ask my mom. And so the most basic things in business are not taught in business schools. And it's the crux of my book called 101 Crucial Lessons that they don't teach you in business school, which I'm humbled to say Forbes wrote is one of 6 books that all entrepreneurs need to read right now, along with Peter Thiel's book, a book called Good to Great, and a bunch of others, whatever. I should not have been mentioned in that article along with those 5 other books. But anyway, hopefully that's helpful. Let me know if you have additional questions. And then, there are more questions by you. Okay, cool. Next up, are there deadlines and grades linked to group work in your MBA? No. It's pass-fail. And the reason I set it up that way is because business is about teamwork, especially in startups. And I wanted a collegial atmosphere where everybody gets along. I want people to just be themselves. There's no summa cum laude or whatever that Latin term means. I don't know what that means even. It's pass or fail. And there's one quiz per class, which is easy to do. You can do it within 5 minutes after finishing class. But there's no deadlines. I mean, you gotta complete the quizzes in order to graduate, but you can take as long as you want. You can do the whole thing in like 6 or 7 months, or you can take several years to do it. It's kind of like Netflix. You can learn at your own pace, and it's interactive as well. So there's no deadlines, and it's pass fail. And then you wrote here, how does group work differ from other universities, and are group members held accountable? No, they're not held accountable. It's up to you. It's optional if you want to team up with other people in the MBA degree program. Now, we use Zoom, and my first class is amazing, my platinum students. And what happens is a lot of times after each topic I teach, and I teach 3 topics every day on Monday and Tuesday in 2 different time zones, depending on where you are in the world. After each topic, I take endless Q&A, and we do it over Zoom sometimes if the student wants to. The student is the customer, and the customer is always right. Imagine that, a teacher treating the student like the customer. The person paying the bill is the student being treated like a customer. How does that work? I'm very customer focused. And you can do optional group work if you want to and connect with others and practice what we've learned, but it's up to you. It's up to you. And some of my students have met in person in Middle America, in Indianapolis, and many have connected over Zoom and become great friends as well in the Platinum program. Again, go check out the student testimonials on my website and contact every one of those students if you want to, or just find other people that are alumni by searching on LinkedIn and just ask them. And when you start, ask them the weaknesses first, because I want to be objective and intellectually honest about everything. Yeah. Next is this. You wrote, how flexible are the gold and platinum programs? Is there a certain timeline one must complete it in? Thanks. No. Take as long as you want. If you want, you can join us live for classes on Mondays and Tuesdays. It lasts 1 year. So it starts this December and ends the following December. And so the classes are on Monday and Tuesday, starting at 9 a.m. And there's 3 to 5 hours, including Q&A for the first session, and 9 a.m. my time, San Francisco time. Then I do the same thing on Monday and Tuesdays as well at 4 p.m. And that lasts anywhere between 3 and 5 hours usually as well, including Q&A. You can take it on your own terms. Some of my students in the Platinum program are a couple of months behind, and they've called me and said, is that okay? I'm like, dude, completely fine. Take as long as you want. There's no deadline date. This is your MBA on your terms. All right. Thanks, Kim, and I hope you join us. And you got nothing to lose. You get a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, and Joao. Hey, Joao. Joao is saying, happy Thursday, Chris. I pray you and your loved ones are doing good. Thank you. Likewise. Thank you. And every morning I get up, and before I open my eyes, I thank God for 10 things in this order. My kids first, Andrew, Matthew, Dylan, my wife, Christine, my mom, my dad, my brother, Jamie, my sisters, Katie and Elizabeth, and my students. You. Thank you. And if my little sisters are watching, I reverse that order every day, okay? So, yeah. And Joao was saying, how do I convert a PowerPoint into an online course? How should I structure the course and the main items to include? Yeah, that's a great question. So I've been teaching online for a while now, and I've made every mistake there is to make. And so in order to be self-deprecating and humbly help other people thinking of making online courses, I've created a couple courses for free on how to make a great online course based on mistakes I've made. So I'm going to show you how to access these free courses. And anybody can do it. Anybody can teach if you have a cell phone and internet access. That's all you need. And as Seth Godin said, you already have everything you need to build something far bigger than yourself. So let's go to Udemy. So if you just search Udemy and then my name, and I'll make it bigger in a second. Give me 1 second. It's just you get older, your eyes aren't as good. I mean, look how big that cursor is there, man. All right. Let's go here. Okay. So go to Udemy, go to my name. And if you navigate through my courses, you'll see a couple free ones. So this one here is called Another 40 Tips on How to Make a Great Online Course. And this course actually is, it's over 4 hours. And it's based on 40 mistakes I've made teaching online. And it's actually a follow-up. It's part 2, because part 1 is called 40 Tips on Making an Online Course, which is also on Udemy. So check it out. It'll teach you literally everything you need to know in order to get up and running and starting a course and making money from it as well. This is the best side hustle in history. And a lot of parents, when I was a kid, they wanted their kids to be doctors or, God forbid, lawyers. Who would want to be a lawyer? Unless you're a civil rights lawyer, I love you. Otherwise, I don't know. Like, do you become an asshole before law school or after? Let me know, please. But a lot of parents wanted their kids to be doctors or lawyers or engineers, which is cool. But I think in the future, parents are going to want their kids to be teachers. And I'll tell you why. Because teaching, unlike being a doctor, pardon me, hold on a second. I take this, the opera singers and rock singers like Bono, what they do is when they lose their voice, they take this thing here. It's called Throat 37 for singers. I'm not a singer, please. All right. All right, we're good to go. I'm back. Now I forget what I was saying. But everybody has something to teach, but parents wanted their kids in the past, now I remember, to be doctors or lawyers. Now in the future, parents want their kids to be teachers, because if you're a teacher, you can teach the whole world at the same time and have it pre-recorded, which is amazing. I'm humbled to say I have students in every country in the world. If you're a doctor or, God forbid, a lawyer, you can only have one customer at a time. And so teaching online is infinitely scalable. It's a great gig, and you get to help other people too. And everybody has something to learn. Everybody does. And everybody has something to teach, I should say. Like Teresa Greenway, who's a great teacher on Udemy. She was in an abusive marriage. And the person she was married to was a total jerk, and it was bad. And they were dirt poor. And so she found the courage, God bless her, to leave that schmuck. And she was living off of food stamps. And she thought, what can I do to support my kids and my family that I love doing? She loves baking bread. And she makes a killing teaching online how to bake bread. How prophetic is that? Do what you love doing. Everybody's got something to teach. Even Ninja, for those of you that are not video gamers, he's that dude that plays Fortnite and makes millions by streaming him playing Fortnite. Used to be on Mixer, which shut down. He'll probably go back to Twitch now. He started out on Udemy teaching how to use Twitch, which is Amazon's subsidiary that you stream video games with and make a fortune with. So everybody has got something to teach. Please check out those 2 free courses of mine. And as always, if you have questions or if you'd like feedback on your course that you're going to be putting online, you can always ask me here on my weekly call. And thank you. Okay. And you mentioned PowerPoint slides. What I would caution you with is if you're going to use slides, a big mistake a lot of people make is they don't put their face up there. They just put slides. So make sure that you're always on screen, or most of the time, I should say, unless you're teaching programming, right? And you can even put yourself in the corner as well. And I teach you about editing software as well in my free courses. Yeah. Okay. Next question is, I'm taking your complete job interview course, and wow, you're a fun teacher. No, thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm so sorry for the dad jokes and the repetitive dad jokes. Yeah, it's getting out of hand, I know. And then you wrote, can you elaborate? Thank you, by the way. Can you elaborate a bit more on the idea of helping the interviewer on their goals and career during the interview? Absolutely. So most people in business are motivated by three things. They want to make more money, they want to get promoted faster, or they want to enjoy their work, quality of life. You got to find a way to help them with all three, okay, or at least one or two of the three. So how do you do that? Well, you got to think like they do. So if you're interviewing with somebody that's the head of sales or is a salesperson, what I want you to do is before the interview, as I mentioned in that course, and in my MBA degree program, I go into much more detail on this. But what I want you to do is I want you to find 5 potential customers for them. And if you don't know who they might be, I want you to go out there and leverage LinkedIn, like I teach in the course, and find people that could potentially be customers. Then when you show up to the interview, first you bond before business. We know that because relationships are more important than product knowledge. But when you go to the interview, I want you to, at the right time, when it feels right, pull out that one pager for them that you made using one of the templates I provide you with that has a list of those 5 potential contacts for them. Who does that? Who does that? You got to ask yourself, how badly do I want this job? It's a cliche, but in Sun Tzu, in The Art of War, he wrote that every battle is won before it's been fought. It's all preemptive. And if you go in with that plan of attack, so to speak, you're going to get the job. Or you're going to impress the person tremendously and their network becomes your network. So that's how you do it for a sales job. What about an HR job? Let me just think out loud here. Human resources. Well, you can show up to the interview and you can beta test or just test out some app or great website that they might not have heard of that helps with HR. You know, something similar to a Workday that people don't know about. Workday is a great HR software cloud-based company. And you can document that on a one-pager. And then you can even bring your iPhone or Android handset or your laptop, whatever it is, with that program on it or access to that website. And you can hotspot it using Wi-Fi on your handset in the meeting for your laptop and show them how to do their job better or a different way to think about products. So those are examples for just sales and HR. In that course of mine, the Complete Job course, which is on Udemy, I teach you how to do the exact same thing for every other type of profession when you go into a meeting, because every battle is won before it's been fought. Okay. Joao is saying, thanks for your passion and commitment to helping us and others. May God bless you abundantly. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Joao. May God bless you much, much more. Thank you. Cool. Next is from Kim, who's saying, when doing a post on social media, when should you use the hash or the @? What is the difference between the two? Yeah. So the way hashtags work, for example, in Twitter or in LinkedIn, on most platforms, is it's set up so that when people do a search for that hashtag, so to speak, they'll be able to see all of your content. Let me show you an example, actually, using LinkedIn. So I vlog every day, and I have for the past 700 days. I think we're on day 700 now. And I told my students I'm going to vlog every day for the next 10 years. And I'm committed to that. And if you look at all my older vlogs, I've aged a lot since. I'm going to be an old man before this is all done. But I'll show you what I do. So if we go to LinkedIn, for example, and I repurpose content, which is what Gary Vaynerchuk talks about. So the questions you ask here, a lot of times they become my vlogs. So let's go here to, I guess, notifications, and let's just pick up a random one here. So here's jobs of the future. And right here, you see this? The hashtags I have here are career advice and career growth. And if you click on this, you'll see on LinkedIn, all of these. There's 15,000 followers of this one here. That's not that many. So try to use the top, 20 or 30 hashtags where there's millions of people following. But if you scroll through here, you'll see all the other people that used this hashtag, so to speak. And it works similarly on other platforms like Twitter, etc. When you use the @, you're basically tagging a person so that they know they're being tagged, kind of like in Facebook. So think about the @ sign like in Facebook when you tag a buddy of yours. I don't use Facebook anymore, but for reason I don't trust the company, never have. but you tag buddies in a photo using the @ It's kind of like that. That's the best way to think of it. Yeah. And before we use a hashtag, I recommend just doing a search to see how many people are subscribed to that hashtag, or how many followers are there. And obviously, the more the better. Next up, we have Manas. Hey, Manas, thank you very much for all your social media comments over the past week. I appreciate it. Thank you. Manas is from India, and he's saying, greetings from my side, likewise. By the grace of God and by your love and support, I opened a new YouTube channel called Malex Edutainment. It's about WFH, which means work from home. Cool. It's also about entrepreneurship and digitization of your work. And he wrote here, and congratulations. And YouTube is a gold mine. Everybody can YouTube, and you can learn how by taking my complete YouTube course on Udemy if you want to, or go to my website. You'll be able to link to it through there. YouTube is a gold rush. It's the only gold rush in history where it costs you nothing to make the product. And it's the only gold rush in history where you can potentially get immediate access to billions of potential customers. And so this is the golden age of content. And I think what's going to happen is 10 or 20 years from now, we're going to look back and say, gosh, I wish I created more content. Anybody can do it. You can take my complete YouTube course and I explain exactly how to do it. You can learn from my many mistakes. I make tons of mistakes. And then you also wrote here, hope all will be well. And in addition to it, I opened up a new Facebook page with the same name. Do check it out, that YouTube channel, please. Thank you. Thank you. I will check it out. Thank you. And then you wrote, I'm sorry for this, but I'm facing severe problems with my book. Sorry to hear that. Not with typing, but with Microsoft Word. After some weeks, Word automatically restricts me to open the file, and eventually everything gets deleted. Any suggestions? I type on Android. Yeah. So if you subscribe to Office 365, and you can get student versions as well, just ask, then you shouldn't have it automatically shutting down. The reason that documents open in read only most of the time is because you don't have a subscription to it. But you can actually open it up and copy all those contents and put it into a Google Doc. So all you have to, let me show you how to do this. Okay, and what Manas is referring to is my book template, which is free, and anybody can download it to write a book. Just go to my website to download the templates. And if you walk into an interview with a book or a sales meeting with a book, amazing things are going to happen because not many people write books. So go to my website, harouneducation.com/all lowercase, write book. And right here, this is what Manas is referring to. You can download this template here in Microsoft Word, and this will tell you how to publish it on Kindle Print or Kindle, Amazon Print, as well as Audible. It's all free to do. If you want to get a cover page, it might cost you $5 on Fiverr. I don't get compensated for anything, as always. And all you do is you put in all your stuff in here, and then you just update the table of contents. Okay. But what you can do is you can open this up in Google Docs. And so let me actually do this. Let's see here. I want to download this. Google Docs right here. I don't even have to. It'll open it automatically in Google Docs. Okay, so go to Google Docs, go to Google, sign in, and you should be able to automatically open this up in Google Docs. If not, what you can do is this. Download the file, and then go to Google Docs, and then what you do is you click here to upload the Word file, and it will automatically be converted into a Google Docs format. If it doesn't work, and this happens sometimes with larger files, what you do is email it to your Gmail account, and when you click on downloading the document, there's an option to open it in Google Docs. It's a hack, a quick way to open up larger files. Okay. All right, next. Oh, Melody, how are you? Melody is a teacher from Atlanta, and she's almost done her book using my template, and she's almost done with a couple of Udemy courses that she's going to put on Udemy soon. And by the way, I don't get brownie points for ever mentioning Udemy. It's an algorithm. If my courses suck, which a lot of them do, no one will buy them. It's just an algorithm. That's all it is. But Melody is putting her courses up on Udemy now. And she wrote, "Good morning, Chris. Likewise, I'm having a great day. Awesome. I'd love to hear it. Me too." And then you wrote, "Any plans for the 4th of July? I'm also trying to submit my course on Udemy right now. I'm having trouble submitting it. It's giving me an error message." Okay. Okay. It says that there's no content, but I've got a ton of videos for each lecture. Huh. I've never had that issue. So what I would do is just email support@udemy.com. They got the best customer support on the planet. A company is only as good as their customer support, and Udemy is the best at this. Udemy is Google, and everybody else is Bing when it comes to ed tech. But email them. They'll help you out for sure. In terms of what am I doing for July the 4th, I don't really have any plans. I'm just going to hang out here with Christine and the boys. And actually, I'm going to be completely open, okay? I'm hooked on a video game. And when my kids are studying or doing summer school and I'm not working, which is not that often, but I'm hooked on a video game. And it's called The Last of Us Part 2. And dude, it's a freaking masterpiece. The character development is insane. It's terrifying though. I have to play with the lights on. So I might do that in July 4th if the kids are doing something else. Otherwise, of course, we'll spend time together. We might just go for a walk in the reservoir here, or just to have a staycation. You know, we're not really going out very much. We're going to Tahoe soon, just for a weekend, whatever. But we're not doing very much because COVID is getting out of hand here. We're very, very careful. We wear masks, etc. And we have a close group of other friends that we hang out with, and they're in our bubble, so to speak, right? Like Biodome or whatever it is. So we just hang out with them. That's it. But it breaks my heart though, because I usually go to Canada every year on July 1st, which is Canada Day. Americans copied Canada Day 3 days later. Canadians are always first. It is what it is. Just kidding. Sort of. But no, I used to go home and spend time with Tom Karadza and his wonderful wife, Carol, and my family. I miss home. And it's brutal, man. Like if you're in America, which I am, we're not allowed to travel to Europe. But if you're Canadian, you are. Like, what a weird point in history. And I follow Mark Benioff on Twitter. And he had this poster he put up, a pretend movie poster the other day. And it says this: 2020, written by Stephen King and directed by Quentin Tarantino. Like, it's just a crazy year. Maybe the cure to COVID's coming this November. So no, it's nutty. It's not like you couldn't, like, I'm so numb to the pain of the news now. But I'm optimistic. I'm always a positive person. I'm always good. But you could tell me, Melody, you could say, Chris, there's a news report that Martians, aliens, just landed in Alaska. And I would say, oh, cool. Crazy year. I pray a lot that we will get through this and that there is some sort of cure coming. Otherwise, what happens is it's kind of like Sweden. They're experimenting by just letting everybody get it in certain areas. And they think that it might build up some sort of immunity. So we're all watching Sweden closely. And Manas is saying, which editing software do you use? Your editing software is awesome. Your videos are just flawless. What's the secret? Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. I like those icons too. So I use Final Cut. And for those of you that have Macs, when you buy a Mac, you know that you get iMovie, which is really easy to use. And my first, my best-selling Udemy courses I made using iMovie. And then I graduated to Final Cut, which is on the Mac platform as well, which is like iMovie on steroids. What Microsoft Write is to Word, iMovie is to Final Cut. And then I eventually moved on to using Premiere Pro, which you can do a lot more stuff with. Now, I have an amazing chief creative officer. He's a partner of mine in my firm. His name is Matt Lacus, and he uses Adobe's Premiere Pro to make all of my MBA degree videos. Yeah, and I have a guy now in Toronto named Jean-Marco. He's the best, who does a lot of my vlogs, the daily vlogs actually. So he does a really, really good job. Yeah. And there's no secret. Just, I don't know, just if you get confused with something, YouTube it right away. and just make mistakes as you create content. As Salvador Dali said, if you strive for perfection, you'll never reach it. Yeah, and have fun with it. Think of yourself like you're Bob Ross, like an artist, and just create. Be artistic. Have the artistic freedom to be you. You be you. You do you on YouTube, etc. And have fun with it. Have fun with it. Yeah. Okay. And then Melody said, I'm also working on 5 courses now. I love it. I love it. And then you wrote, I want to have 10 by the end of the year. Good. You set a deadline date. Whenever we set goals, we always set deadline dates because 90% of people give up on their New Year's resolutions by the 3rd week of January because they never set a deadline date. And you got to vocalize it too and tell your friends so that whenever they see you or I see you here, the first thing I can say is, how are the courses going? Yeah. The worst is with a book, though, dude. I remember I told a bunch of friends and family members I was writing a book years ago. And every time I saw them, they're like, how's that book coming along? And they said with love in their heart. And I was like, oh, my God, now I got to write it. Yeah. It's okay. It's fun to set a big challenge. But I'd love to see 10 courses this year. And I know you can do it. Yeah, yeah. And Melody, what I would say is I wouldn't try to over-edit it. Like you've got such a wonderful personality. And I remember it was October 31st. That was a Thursday back in 2019. And we had a 9.5-hour call. I didn't get up once. And I remember, I think it was around 4:30 p.m. that day, my time. You came on the call with your wonderful kids dressed in their Halloween costumes before they were about to go out. And you're an eloquent speaker. You're on Zoom here, and you've been on Zoom a couple times. Just be yourself. And I know you mentioned, I guess 6 months ago or so, you got a Canon M50, which is a great vlogging camera. It's really light as well. And you can turn around the camera monitor thing on the side that flips out so you can see yourself recording. Do it on autofocus. Just be you. Just be you. Because a lot of times, as Maya Angelou said, people might forget what you said, but they'll never forget the way you made them feel. Have fun with it. And I can't wait to see your courses. And thanks for the update. Yeah. And then you wrote, by next April, I would like another 10. Dude, I love it. I love, okay, I'm going to remember this. 10 this year, 10 next year. I'm going to remember this. Awesome. And as James Cameron said, the great director of Avatar, Canadian represents, he said, if you set your goals so high and you fail, you still fail above everyone else's expectations. But I know you'll get all 20 done. And I set a goal too, and you're going to think I'm a fraud because I am actually. This is not real. This is a fake. I'm a fraud. But I have it because I want to earn this in 8 years. And about 2 years ago on my weekly webcast, I said I want to get an Academy Award for best documentary. I want to do a documentary on something business related that makes the world a much better place. Because our goal should be to leave this earth in a better condition than when we entered it. So I want to get one of these. I've got 8 years left to do it. And by the way, if you're curious about why an Oscar looks like this, and it's 13.5 pounds, I just can't lift it. But if you're curious, so right here, these are 5 film canisters that represent the 5 original branches of the Academy. And so when you make a course, you have to think like you're an editor, an actor, sort of, but just be yourself, a producer, a technician, and all that other stuff. There's a lot that goes into it, making a course. And when you watch a movie from now on, at the very, very end, what I want you to do is I want you to watch all the credits. And just, you'll be amazed at what you did. An army of one to make a course. Again, I'm a fraud. This is a fake. But I'm putting myself out there. I want to get this for best business documentary that somehow makes the world a better place. 8 years from today. Yeah. I'm getting better with all this camera stuff. I still have a long way to go. You'll notice I make mistakes every single week, but it's getting better. Yeah. All right. And Michael Jordan said, you know, I've failed over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. And I'm still in the failure part, but hopefully I'll be successful one day when it comes to all this stuff. Yeah, but I'm having fun. All right. Next up, and by the way, some people have commented that I don't answer their questions. I read every single question. I answer every question. The problem is this: if you enter in a hyperlink, then what happens is YouTube strips it out. They don't allow you to send it for some reason. And the questions start, I mean, the call started at 8 today, and the first question was posted at 5 a.m. If you post questions 4 or 5 hours before it starts, it'll look like it'll show up, but they actually don't. And so please make sure that you only post questions within a couple hours before the call starts. And if I don't get to your question, just ask it next week. Thank you. All right. And then Melody said, Chris, are you coming out with a sales course? Because that is something I could really use. Actually, it's in my MBA degree program. Yeah. Thank you, though. And then you wrote here, I got a pack by Grant Cardone. It's good, but I like hearing your perspective on things. Thank you. I appreciate it. I think the best value I can add is if people don't want to sign up for my MBA degree program, I have a free book that I give you on how to network. And it works well. I promise you, I put my reputation on the line. And all you do is go to my website, harouneducation.com, scroll down, and you can download it here for free. It's 200 pages, including several hours of YouTube videos. I guarantee you, it's free. I guarantee you it'll help you to sell more and network much better, because in business, we know that relationships are more important than product knowledge. And I'm digging this blue back. And by the way, so for those of you interested in design, and I'm learning a lot, less is more. I'm getting better. I put too much clutter sometimes up there. But the reason why I have blue, yellow up there and blue here is because Sir Isaac Newton, after he invented gravity, before that we just floated, just kidding. He was at Cambridge, actually. And I went to the tree. Rob Percival, who's the #1 tech teacher on Udemy, he mentored me, and I went to visit him in Cambridge, and I saw that tree. But Isaac Newton, he came up with the concept of the color circle, so to speak, or and let me show you what it looks like here. He sent a bunch of light through a prism, and he discovered this, and then he made Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah. So if we go to color wheel, and this will help you with making graphics too. All right, let's get a basic one. Here we go here. Great. Okay, cool. So right here, this is the color wheel. And what this means is colors that are pretty much opposite of each other are very pleasing to the eye. And so purple and this kind of, the shade of yellow are very pleasing to the eye. Same thing with red and green and pink and green. And if you go to a candy store and you look at Nerds, for example, sometimes they split the package in half, and you'll have one flavor that is red and the other flavor that is green. And they do those colors on purpose. But if you look here, I basically got blue and orangish yellow up there. And these attract, like that Paula Abdul song. I'm dating myself, but opposites attract. So think of that when you're making YouTube thumbnails or anything graphic design based when it comes to work. Oh, one more thing too. Whenever you use fonts, don't ever use fonts that are serif fonts. What's a serif font? Well, a serif font is one that has little squiggly lines on the corners of the font, and it's hard to read. So I want you to always use sans serif fonts. Sans is French for without. Sans serif, or sans serif, as I say. And my favorite font is Helvetica. Hell yeah. Helvetica is great. I love it. All right. And Albus is saying, hi, Chris. How are you doing? I'm great. How are you? How are you? Great to have you. Thank you. And Manas is writing, my dear sir, call me Chris, please. Imagine a situation where you were Steve Jobs and you were removed from Apple. What would you have done with the shares you already had in Apple? Yeah. So the most successful people in business are highly unemotional. They don't let their emotions control them. Rather, they control their emotions. In some billionaires that I've worked for, not all of them, but some of them, are borderline Asperger's. They might have Asperger's syndrome. And they're very unemotional. Like when things go really well in business, like when we owned companies that got acquired and we're all high-fiving each other in the office on the trading floor. The billionaire founder usually is just kind of like, oh, okay, cool. And when everyone else is freaking out, they're like, oh, no, things are fine. And they believe that things are never as good as they seem and things are never as bad as they seem. You got to be really unemotional in business. And as Dale Carnegie said, we have to realize that in business, people are often creatures of emotion and not creatures of logic. And so I think Steve Jobs was very successful because of that as well. He knew when to turn his emotions off, and people say it was a kind of a reality distortion field that he had, kind of like the Iron Dome around Tel Aviv, to protect from the rockets and stuff, which they've done a good job with. Now, when it comes to Elon Musk, he's incredibly unemotional about business, and that's one of the many reasons he's been so successful. A lot of people don't realize this, but he was the co-CEO of PayPal along with Peter Thiel, who's probably the best venture capitalist in history. And what happened was there was a board decision to fire Elon Musk, and they decided to fire him because Peter Thiel wanted to base the technology architecture of the firm on Linux, which is open source and cheaper and much more scalable. And at the time, in the early 2000s, Elon Musk wanted to base the technology infrastructure on Microsoft's ActiveX or CaptiveX, which wasn't as cheap to use as Linux at the time. And so what happened was, again, the board let him go. And I mention this because Musk was so unemotional that after they let him go, he didn't dump all his shares. He bought a lot more of PayPal, which is a smart investment. Yeah. You got to be unemotional. And most people that invest in the stock market lose money, right? The active traders. Because, well, first of all, you can't be a trader. Otherwise, you'll never make money. Because tell me the name of one trader that's been successful longer term. They don't exist. But you got to be careful when you're investing. And you got to be, as Warren Buffett said, fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. You just got to be a contrarian in order to do well. You really do. And so that's what Steve Jobs was. And also Elon Musk is. It's getting hot in here. Question is, I want to know if it's okay to fire employees now or to make salary cuts. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough decision. And these are tough times too. Yeah. And I pray we get through this. So I believe, and this is going to sound harsh, I'm sorry, but here I go. I believe that you have to hire slowly and then fire quickly. And one main reason to fire somebody is if they're hurting the corporate culture. One bad apple can destroy the whole bunch. It takes one bad employee to destroy the firm. And I remember when I was at Goldman Sachs, I went through the training program there, overseas, all over the place. It was fun. But on day one, they said, welcome to Goldman Sachs. Then they took my fingerprint and everyone else in the class. And they said, you have more of a chance of doing harm than good to this firm. And don't do anything that can get the firm on the cover of the Wall Street Journal. They said it much nicer than that, obviously. And there's a reason why they have an amazing reputation relative to other firms. But I really do believe that if somebody is hurting the corporate culture or is a corporate bully, and I hate that, that you got to fire them quickly. And after you fire them, you look back and think, gosh, I wish I had done that earlier. And you're doing them a favor as well, because maybe it's not their passion. And years later, they might look back and say, that was a turning point for me. Yeah, it's tough to fire. It really, really is. And when I worked in venture capital and I was on boards of companies, I always got attached to people. It was tough for me. It was tough for me to let people go, but I've done it before. And the first time you do it, it's hard, but obviously it's harder for the person you're letting go. And you want to do it usually on a Monday, not before a weekend, around 10 a.m. And you call them into a room and sit down with them one-on-one. And if you work at a bigger company, you have HR present as well. And if you think somebody is going to get violent, which hardly ever happens, hardly ever, but you can always have security close by. And the way to do it, and I've been coached by some of the most successful HR executives in history. The way to do it is you sit down with them, and they usually know it's coming. And you start by saying something complimentary, but not fake, something sincere. Like, John, everybody knows, myself included, how great a job you did on Project X. And we're eternally grateful for that. Then you pause and you say, however, given these reasons, and you list them, we're letting you go. And then you pause and you say nothing. You say nothing. And you wait for them to speak. And it feels like eternity. And you can hear a pin drop. And then usually they talk about whatever their concerns are, and you let them just go on and on and on. And you also let them know what their severance package is. You know, sometimes it's several months per year you've worked at a company. And then you tell them about healthcare coverage as well. And then you just let them do the talking. That's it. Then you shake hands or give them a hug or whatever it might be if you're on really good terms, and they move on. And if you're ever in that position, I've been in that position too on both sides of that table. But if you're ever in that position, I want you to just be careful not to be emotional and not to say anything you're going to regret. Why? Because you're not going to get another job without whoever is hiring you next talking to that person that let you go. It's true. And when I was let go, I remember I gave my boss a hug. And I hugged him so hard, I think I cracked all of his ribs. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't crack any ribs. I wanted to. Just kidding. It was frustrating. I mean, I was let go and I made the firm a ton of money. And I really believe that he was insecure and felt like he hired his assassin. But it's okay because now I'm doing this and I like this much more. But Albus, what I would also do is I would come up with a business plan, and you can, I think you're signed up for my MBA degree program. So we're going to talk soon about a venture capital boot camp I'm setting up. You know, I've helped out a lot in venture capital over the years, analyzing companies. I've been on panels at many schools, including on the campus of Stanford University Graduate School of Business. And you can go and check out that YouTube video of mine there when I was interviewed on stage, like 45 minutes. But we're going to talk about business planning in a lot of detail very, very soon. And failing to plan is planning to fail. And most people don't write a business plan. And a lot of companies fail. I want you to write a business plan first. Or you can take my complete business plan course. But we go into much more detail in my MBA degree program on that. Yeah. All right. And then Manas is saying, the main objective of the aforementioned YouTube channel of yours is to help as many people as possible to digitalize their businesses and to help them live their dream life. It's cool. It's awesome. It's awesome. Good for you. And it feels good when you're helping other people. I actually get depressed, dude. Like, it's just the DNA subfabric of who I am. I get kind of depressed if I don't help somebody every day. Yeah, and when I worked for other people, there's always that uncomfortable conversation that my bosses would have with me in my review meeting. They would say something like this. They would say, Chris, you're doing great. You're doing better than expected, better than other people, whatever. However, can you please spend a little bit less time mentoring other people not in our department? It's just who I am. And I just love to humbly help if I can. Yeah. Give and you will receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. All right. Next up, Melody is saying, I'm thinking of starting a membership for the classes I'm creating. I'm just not sure how to price point this. I want it to be affordable and accessible to most parents. Yeah, that's great. And for those who are not familiar with Melody, again, she's a wonderful teacher from Atlanta, and she's made a bunch of online courses she's about to publish. So I think like subscription business models are great because it's good for revenue visibility, and it's the crux of the entire cloud software market, and Netflix, et cetera. People like to subscribe to stuff because there's less turnover. That way, people are less likely to cancel something that is a tiny expense every month versus a big expense annually. And if you want to do that, Melody, I would recommend using Teachable, which is what I use right now. But I think that the best way to start is just put your stuff on Udemy. Udemy is Google and everyone else is Bing. And the power of Udemy is not just that it's a great engineering and education company, but it's the quintessential marketing and advertising company as well. They figured it out, and they might be the only ones. They might be the only ones that have figured this out so far. How to distribute courses globally and make you a lot of money, and to make their investors a lot of money as well. Yeah, because the loneliest place in the world is page 2 of Google search rankings. All right. And Manas is saying, do you think Putin's extension will somehow affect the United States or the rest of the world? Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. He basically wants to change the constitution in Russia so he can be the head of Russia, political leader forever. And it's a little bit ridiculous because there is a vote on this. But there's like 250 little things he wants to change about Russia in that vote, including extending the fact that he can be the political leader forever. And that's just one vote. Yes or no to all 250. It's buried in there. And I think that would be disastrous. I really do. I think that, like, for example, like in Canada, where I'm from, and I'm very proud to be Canadian, the biggest critique I have of the Canadian political system is that there are no term limits. And I remember when I was a kid, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, not Justin Trudeau, but his dada, Pierre Trudeau, liberal. I was progressive conservative as a kid, PC. I still am. But he was prime minister forever. There was no term limits. And, you know, I think there's great things about the Canadian political system, but I would love to see term limits. Like, for example, in the United States, it's 8 years. That's what I would love to see. Yeah. Otherwise, what happens is, if there's no term limits, you're doing whatever you can to please everybody in the country that's middle class, because that's the big voting bloc. And you end up giving more social services, and you tax the rich a lot in big companies, which is bad because big companies create jobs. And what happens is, if you provide a lot of free services for the middle class, and don't take this the wrong way, this is just an unemotional comment. But if you provide a lot of services and then you take them away to try to improve the budget, so to speak, then you don't get reelected. And so your motivation is to stay in power forever by appealing to, certain people. However, you don't think of legacy. You don't think of making the country a better place longer term. Yeah. And that was not a dig on middle class at all. It's just a fact that people that focus on legacies when they're politicians are very long-term focused, and they make their country a better place longer term. Otherwise, if they're just in power all the time, it's not fair. It's also not fair to people that don't want Putin or Trudeau or whatever it is to be the political leader forever. Yeah, I really do believe in term limits. And if anything could change about the Canadian Constitution, humbly, and I say with love my heart as a proud Canadian, is that I would institute term limits there as well. Next up, Manasseh is saying, thank you for patiently answering my questions. My pleasure. This is fun, man. And you wrote, I'm sorry if they were silly because I'll always be a child from the inside. Dude, no, I love your questions. They're not silly. Ask as many as you want, always. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for you. Then you wrote, may God bless you and your family and the world. Have a great weekend. Thank you. And may God bless you much, much more. Thank you. All right. Next up is Melody saying, okay, so I need to update my course's introduction video at some point, but which one of your videos explains how to make it? Yeah. So just take my, I think the first course, the first free course of mine on Udemy on how to make an online course called 40 Tips on How to Make an Online Course. I would watch that. That explains everything. Yeah. And then you wrote, sorry for all the questions. No, please, this is fun. I love when you ask questions. You wrote, sorry for all the questions, but I'm getting a huge response from parents to help them out before the school year begins. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. I would set a deadline today. Please let me know, when is your first course coming out? And you can do all this on Zoom if you want to teach live as well, or you can do what I do. And so you can take a course I have on Udemy called Video Production Masterclass, the complete video camera course, where I teach you exactly how to set up something like this, or just parts of it on a budget even. Yes, that's right. You already have everything you need to make a great course. I teach you how to do Wirecast live sessions as well, like this. I teach you how to use every major technology product as well, so that you can make a great online course by leveraging the video stuff I talk about. It's 27 hours long, the Video Production Masterclass course. I unbox and teach you how to use more than 100 different types of products for every budget as well. Check it out. And then Kim is saying, what is the best way to learn or understand how board meetings are run and decisions are made at large companies? Yeah. So every company's board is different. I've been on a lot of boards. There's a different culture in each board. It's really interesting. It's like different classes in schools or cliques or whatever it is. And for those of you joining your first board, what I would say is, don't talk. Don't talk initially. Just observe how it works. Don't feel like you ever have to talk unless you have some value to add. When I go to board meetings and when I'm on boards, I see myself as a prosthetic extension of the management team. And I try to add value, or I just don't talk. It's like Ted Turner, who's the biggest landowner in America. But on his desk, he's got this great little plaque that says, lead, follow, or get out of the way. And so I only speak up when I have value to add. But if you don't know and you're just starting out, just don't say anything initially. You don't have to talk. Just kind of observe how it works. And when you think you can add value, then add value and say something. Yeah. And by the way, don't ever join a board of directors without getting what's called D&O insurance. And D&O insurance stands for Directors and Officers Insurance. And you need to get it, and the company should pay those legal bills, not you. And if you don't get it, then what can happen is, if there's a shareholder lawsuit, you could lose your house and everything. So make sure to talk to a lawyer first before joining a board of directors. Yeah. But the way board meetings usually work is they're 3 times per year, quarterly. You don't get paid if it's private usually. If it's a public company, you usually do get paid. And so CEOs that have retired, they're on lots of boards and they get $100,000 per year from each board. And the way the board meetings usually work is you sit down the first 5 minutes or so, they read the minutes, which is a summary of the previous board meeting. And then what happens is usually the CEO or some other senior executives will talk about the outline for the board meeting. Usually talk about corporate strategy first. Then the CFO will chime in and talk about finances. Then the head of sales might chime in and talk about sales and the sales pipeline. Then the head of products might come in and talk about the broader product portfolio and their long-term vision. And then they take questions. Or they take questions along the way. Yeah. And then what happens is towards the end of the board meeting, there are certain board members or board observers that have to leave. Right? There's a difference between a board observer and a board member. A board observer can kind of sit there and ask questions, but they can't really vote on important stuff. And so when there's important stuff to vote on, they're asked to leave towards the end. Leave. And then the board members will vote on something. Again, talk to a lawyer first before you join and become a board member. Yeah. And Ray is saying, hi, Chris, it's me again with a bag of questions. Ray, always great to have you. And Ray is saying, thanks again for your time. My pleasure. Thank you for being here. How do you set up an alert for an IPO for a certain company? If I want to be notified if Udemy decides to go public. Yeah. So what I would say is you can set up what are called Google Alerts. And I do it for my courses and my name as well, so that whenever there's an article written about me, whatever, I find out right away. So let's go to Google Alerts. So what you can set up here is an alert for anything. It can be, I don't know, say this cup company is going to go public called Ember. Not the best product, by the way. It keeps breaking on me. But I can put there Ember, EMBER, space IPO. And you put it in quotes, kind of like I have right here, so that whenever there is something that gets mentioned about this, I'll automatically get an email. And you can set this up so it gets emailed to you daily or immediately, right? So for me, because there's a lot of press stuff about me recently with my MBA degree program, I want to find out right away. And I was interviewed on this channel once years ago, but I want to find out right away. So that's what you can do. You set up Google Alerts. That's probably the best way to do it. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Ray is saying, you say platforms are good businesses. Which are your favorite platforms? Yeah. And so platforms are great businesses because if you think about it, if you own the road, you can charge the cars and the toll booths. And the best platforms are the one where the company that owns the platform doesn't make the cars or the content. And it's fascinating because like Uber is a platform and they don't own any taxis. Facebook is a platform and they don't make any content. Udemy is a platform and Udemy employees don't create that many courses. Some of them do, right? It's all up to other people to populate that platform, like eBay. You know, eBay doesn't buy and sell stuff themselves. You know, they're a toll keeper, and it's infinitely expandable too. And so Udemy's been seeing hockey stick type growth, according to the media, and you can read recent interviews, because more people staying at home and learning from home, and just given COVID. And I felt really guilty about this because my business picked up a lot in March. So I gave away 1 million courses for free. And it's interesting where people bought courses. And I was really worried about Egypt, which is where my dad is from originally. I've never been there. I'd love to go one day. My dad left in 1967. And my dad, by the way, is from a town called Sohag, which is I guess a couple hours south of Cairo. But I was worried about Egypt with COVID because in Egypt, everybody lives close together along the Nile for obvious reasons. And so I think I had 70 or 80,000 people from Egypt immediately sign up for my courses in the month of March. Again, I gave away 1 million courses for free. And I actually had to hire a couple extra people to help with the Q&A and customer support, which is the right decision. Yeah. But I do believe that education fixes every problem in the world. And I'm very humbled to be a part of this. Yeah. We're all in this together. All right. And my favorite platform follow up here, it's Udemy, of course. Yeah. Udemy is Google and everybody else is Bing when it comes to education technology. Next up, Ray is saying, how do you get informed about the drop in a price of a stock you want to buy? Yeah. So you can go to Yahoo Finance or many other free websites that talk about finance topics. Never pay for anything ever, please, when it comes to finance. It's all free. And you can set up alerts so that you can get an automatic email when a stock that's on your watch list goes down a certain amount. Next up question is there an automated website for career orientation that takes into account the salary, the working hours, the travel, the basic math of your interests, for example? Yeah. So the best website for that is called Glassdoor. And let me go there really quickly with you. You can find out a lot about a company. I do a lot of research on companies this way too, private and public. So if you go here, you type up any company you're interested in, and it will tell you how much people make, what people think of the CEO, and the perks or benefits of working there. So let's type up Ford. All right. Whoops. Let me try it again. Ford. Okay, let's go Ford. I don't know why it's in Indiana. Let's go Ford, Michigan, I guess. Michigan. Search. Here we go. And what you can do is, and if you're worried about using your real name there, for obvious reasons, you can always use a nickname when you register, if you register. But here you can find out that at Ford, in Michigan, Dearborn, the headquarters, if you want, you can be a product owner. That's the title there, and make between $71,000 and $110,000. and you find out about the job here, and you can learn more about the company and how people rate the company here. Let me just get my face out of the way here so you guys can actually see it. Yeah. So you can find out about what people think of Jim Hackett, the CEO, and that's actually a pretty low approval. Usually it's over 90% on average here. And you can read why and just look at all the reviews as well. Salary reviews, benefits here. For example, wonderful insurance, great coverage, employee discounts, 401k plan, which is the retirement savings program. There's a lot of great perks actually for working at Ford. Yeah. So I would use Glassdoor to do your research on companies when it comes to compensation or general remuneration in terms of other benefits you get. And you can read the reviews of what other employees say, positive and negative. Melody's asking, how can you set up an alert to know if people are talking about your courses online? I think you said Google. Yeah. So I answered that a second ago. Just use Google Alerts. Yeah. And Dario, how are you? Dario is back. And every time I see you here, I always joke about that buddy I went to business school with named Dario. And he used to say, "It's me, Dario," from probably the best platform game of all time. It was Mario 64. Remember that one? Yeah. Great to have you, Dario. You wrote, "Chris, how are you? I'm great. Hope you're doing well. I've been following you since 2017. Thank you." And you wrote, "You're really inspiring." Thank you. My students inspire me so much. I love doing what I do. Thank you. Thank you for making this possible. And then you wrote, "Maybe one of your first students. Thanks for everything. You're most welcome, and thank you as a customer. Thank you." And Dario is saying, today I wanted to ask, what do you think about Robert Kiyosaki and his book, A Rich Dad, Poor Dad? I actually am embarrassed to say I have not read it. People have given that to me, and people have given me books like Think and Grow Rich, and I just haven't read them. I know it's out there. I should have read that one because a lot of people say positive things about it, but I just haven't. Yeah. And Dario is saying, stay safe. I wish all the best for you and your lovely family. Thank you, and likewise, and thank you, Dario. I appreciate it. Next up, we got Ray, who's saying, how do you build confidence in your children? Tell us more on that. Also, do you limit their screen time? Yeah. No, thanks for asking. Yeah. So I think that the job of a teacher and a parent is, number one, to make your students or your children more confident. It's the best gift you can provide your kids. And so I compliment my kids a lot. I've never told them what I want them to be in life. I want them to have the confidence to choose their own destiny, so to speak. Otherwise, when you have small kids, you have small problems. But when you have big kids, you have big problems. I don't want them to choose a career to make me proud. I want them to live their life on their own terms. And so I ask their opinion quite often on a lot of matters. I don't tell them what to do unless they're being rude or whatever it is, and I can't fault them for being just like I was at their age. But for my three boys, I just let them be them. I don't pressure them to want to go to university. It's their call. It's their life. I'll expose them to everything. Like I view myself as a teacher and also as a parent, like I'm a waiter. Hopefully a good waiter with good food. Who knows? But kind of like when you go to a restaurant, you can look at the entire menu and you can only choose one item, or you usually do. And by the way, if you want the souffle, you got to order like well in advance because it takes forever to make. And this is from Maxime's, a restaurant in Paris, where I proposed to my wife. I actually proposed to her right by the Eiffel Tower. It was fun. And then we had dinner here, and yeah, it was fun. But the souffle, you got to order well in advance. And dude, don't ever ask for ketchup with your French fries. Okay, I was that American in Paris then. Okay, it didn't go well. They were somewhat polite about it, just a little bit. Yeah, but I feel like I'm a waiter, and so I expose my kids and my students to everything, business-wise too, in my MBA degree program, and it's up to them to choose what career makes most sense for them. Yeah, I want them to make their own decisions in life. I want them to be confident. And one thing that's certainly helped my older kid become more confident is I bought a gym on Amazon, actually, and I put it in the garage. It's a great investment because we work out together. We bond together. He'll open up if he wants to. And it's a win-win because if your kids are really into exercising, they'll be less likely to do other things and they'll learn to take care of themselves from an early age. And everybody wins. Everybody wins. And so if you can get some free weights in your garage, or get those elastic bands that you can use as well, or get a set of weights somewhere in your house or in the garage, or get a gym membership and just bond with your kids that way, and teach them about health, because when one teaches, two learn. Okay. And then, do you limit their screen time? I do, not as much lately, only because with COVID, it's not much they can do. Well, they'll go swimming in the pool in the backyard or play basketball in our net, whatever, every now and then. They're pretty well balanced. They're pretty well balanced, but times are tough. Times are tough, and I believe that if you over limit your kids' screen time, you're hurting them, because this is how they socialize. It's like telling them, I don't want you to have as many friends. This is how this generation socializes. And my kids' jobs have not been invented yet. And the way my kids communicate with each other when they're an old man like me has not been invented yet either. I let them experiment a lot with technology, obviously within limits. Like before we watch a movie at home, or I let them play a video game, I go to commonsensemedia.org, where parents will rate what age kids should be allowed to watch stuff. And there's a rating scale too of consumerism, sex, alcohol, and other stuff, swear words, violence, whatever it is. And it's rated out of 5 stars, each of those aforementioned categories. So I use that, yeah. But I do limit my kids using, until recently, using Fortnite when I'm streaming. And I've got business Comcast here, which I'm starting to sort of use. It's working out well, I think, because people aren't complaining as much about this, the webcast, yeah. But before, there's like, dude, no Fortnite when I'm streaming. Yeah, Fortnite's taken over my house. But my latest game I'm playing, I don't play Fortnite. I've tried it. My game is The Last of Us Part 2 by Naughty Dog Studios, which is a masterpiece. But I have to play with the lights on because it scares the hell out of me. And then Kim is saying, which of the individual Udemy courses are covered in the MBA? Is all the content included in the MBA too, or is it best to still do the individual Udemy courses too? So I add much more value. So I discuss the topics in much more detail. Because I teach a little bit about finance and accounting in my individual courses. Of course, I teach about that as well in the MBA program. But I do a lot more case studies. It's much more visual. I have a heck of a lot more props as well. You can see some of them down here. These are just ones I use for my MBA students, where I'm teaching about assets and liability and equity. And on the bottom, those are Coca-Cola bottles, because we just did a case study on Warren Buffett and why he invested in Coke and other companies. Yeah. And it's just much more up to date as well. Yeah. And what you can do, Kim, is you can actually go, if you want, and just look at the curriculum. And I've made a bunch of lectures free to watch and all that stuff. Yeah. But it's all brand new content, like recorded brand new with all 5 or 6 camera angles, whatever it is. Yeah. And when you watch it, it's actually 1080, but we actually record everything here in 4K just so we can future-proof it. But you can take it on a desktop, a laptop, a tablet, an Android phone, an iPhone, etc. We got you covered. And every downloadable document is in 3 different formats as well. Word, PDF, and Google Docs, so that we can appeal to everybody and have the largest possible total addressable market. Yeah. We want to be inclusive of everybody. Okay. All right. Next up, Ray is saying, regarding the catalyst, What might the Olympic Games in Japan in 2001 be a catalyst for? What are the catalysts for Facebook and Amazon? Yeah. And so Ray is referring to one of my courses called the Complete Financial Analyst Training and Investing course, which is on Udemy, where I talk about when you invest in a company, you have to invest in a company knowing that there are certain events that are going to occur, which are publicly disclosed, which will get investors interested. And so I have to quote the best athlete in history, Wayne Gretzky, as a Canadian. He's the best hockey player ever. He's very humble too. But when he was asked why was he successful at hockey, he said because he wouldn't skate to where the puck is, but rather he'd skate to where the puck is going to be. And you got to have the same foresight in business and investing. I want you to invest in stocks that people are going to like. And that's why I like to look for what's called a catalyst whenever I invest in a company. So a catalyst might be a company has a new version of a software product coming out, or a new version of a car that they sell, like a brand new Tesla or whatever it is. That's a catalyst to get people excited about the company, to become investors. And the best type of investments are the ones that have multiple catalysts, like multiple software products that are released over a couple of years, or multiple cars, like the Cybertruck, the Model S, Model 3, etc., and the Model X. So, and when it comes to the Olympics, it's usually a catalyst for stocks in that country. So, for example, when I worked after I left Goldman, I spent some time at a hedge fund in New York City called Kingdon Capital, which was founded by a brilliant man, a wonderful humanitarian, and a big supporter of mine that I love, named Mark Kingdon. And I remember in the morning meetings there, before the market opened, everybody, all the analysts and portfolio managers would sit there back in 2003 and 2004 when I was there. And Mark Kingdon, who's brilliant, he would say this: the 2008 Beijing Olympics is going to be a big catalyst for China. I want all of us to invest in companies that are going to benefit from that catalyst. And he went around the table and he asked the different portfolio managers, and analysts about what are some of the catalysts. And so Michael Carver, for example, who is the portfolio manager covering industrials, he said, well, Caterpillar, ticker CAT, and Komatsu in Japan, because they're going to be building a lot of stuff in China. And then he would ask the commodities portfolio manager, who would say, well, probably BHP, Australian company that mines, that creates steel and iron ore and all that great stuff in mines, because a lot of buildings that are going to be built around Beijing are going to be using a lot of steel or copper or whatever it is. And then when he came to me, it was tougher for me because I thought, well, what software companies are going to benefit? But I remember at the time I said Autodesk, ticker ADSK, which makes architecture type software that engineers use to make buildings. And so what ended up happening was 2008 was a massive boom for China, because it was kind of like their coming out party and showing the rest of the world who they are. And so what they did was they built up a ton of infrastructure around Beijing and across the country as well. And in America, we have 9 cities with over 1 million people. Guess how many cities there are in China with over 1 million people? Take a guess. No, higher. It's actually close to 200 now. So think about all the tech, or all the infrastructure companies that have benefited from that. And I remember I met with the CFO of United Technologies back then. Ticker is UTX. And they're the company that makes the Otis elevator brand. And the CFO told me more buildings are going to be built in China over the next 5 years than the cumulative number of buildings built in every country since the beginning of time. That's a great long-term theme to invest in. He told me that back, before the Olympics, way before the Olympics. And at that time, I remember I was looking at engineering and services companies like Foster Wheeler, ABB, Crompton and Greaves, etc. And in China, every year they built out the equivalent electricity grid infrastructure of the United Kingdom. Every year. Think about that. It's amazing. And so the Olympics can be a massive catalyst for countries for so many reasons, not just tourism, but from a business perspective as well. It's amazing, and a real estate perspective. Like after the Winter Olympics in Canada, in Vancouver, you saw real estate prices spike in British Columbia, the province there. But what ended up happening in China is kind of tragic, and most people don't talk about this, but it's fascinating. So about 3 months before the Beijing Olympics in the summer of 2008, what the Chinese government decided was to shut down all industrial production within a 300-mile or kilometer, whatever radius around Beijing, so that the rest of the world, when they showed up to see Beijing, would know that there's not much pollution. And that had a catastrophic impact that nobody talks about on the global economy. The price of oil in early 2008 was $150 a barrel. Crazy. And recently, the price of oil in the futures market at least went to minus $40 a barrel. But what happened was the price of oil then crashed, partially because the global economy slowed down and you had the credit default swaps issues and mortgage issues, et cetera, in America in '08. But also because China stopped production, which was kind of a catalyst for the rest of the world to get hurt because commodity prices dropped, et cetera, in '08, which is fascinating. So in China, actually, they've got to do a much better job with pollution as well. I mean, there are so many filthy coal mines still in operation there. And if you go to Beijing now, the pollution is just brutal, man. It's awful. And we're all in this together. It hurts all of us. And there are some reports which mention that about a third of all the pollution in the air above California is from mainland China, and coal mines especially. So hopefully they'll start using more solar instead of coal mines in the future. Yeah, which should be made illegal. Okay. Next up is, what are the catalysts for Facebook and Amazon? Well, I don't know. I'm not as close to them as I used to be. I just, for social reasons, I'd never invest in Facebook. You know, I owned it when I owned my venture capital company years ago. So I owned it pre-IPO, and I also participated in the IPO and shorted it and went long as well. But I just can't. It's like me buying Philip Morris or Altria. Or Juuls or any vaping. I just can't do it. It's just unethical for me to invest in Facebook. Yeah. But Amazon, I love. I've always loved Amazon. I think Jeff Bezos is absolutely brilliant. So in terms of what could be catalyst for Amazon, well, I would say every new application that's released on Amazon Web Services is kind of like a mini catalyst, so to speak. Yeah. And so the most exciting thing about Amazon is not their retail business, but for me, it's their software platform that powers the cloud, so to speak, and for many big companies, which is Amazon Web Services. So I would look at every new application, so to speak, that's being released on AWS as they continue to dominate the global CSP market, cloud service provider market. Yeah. Next question is, how long do you think this pandemic will last? I keep hearing so much conflicting things on the media. I mean, I don't know, like years. Years. I mean, even if we found a cure today, and God bless Bill Gates, I think he's working overtime on trying to find some sort of cure. He even stepped down from the board of Microsoft recently, and I think it's to dedicate more time to this, yeah. But even if we do find a cure, let's say that we find a cure today, it's going to take so long, years, to be able to produce enough vaccines to distribute and to give to every person on that planet. It's going to take years. And I commend the Canadian government, because what they've done is they're producing, I think it's something crazy, like 35 or 36 million syringes, just so they're ready for when the cure comes, which is awesome, which is great. It's a great way to kind of prepare ahead of time. But there's also going to be a lot of people that will never take it because they don't have access to the cure, or because they just don't want to for whatever reasons. I'm that guy that gets a flu shot all the time, but there are a lot of people that won't do that sort of thing. So I think it's years. It might even be decades. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's a new digital reality that we just work from home, I guess. But when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, and we can all start online companies. And many people will look back at this awful moment in human history and say that this was the catalyst for me to start my company. It costs you nothing to start an online company. You don't have to be in the Bay Area in San Francisco. You can be anywhere in the world and do it. And you can take my MBA degree program and I'll help you do it. Or you can take my complete business plan course on Udemy, which will help you start your own company as well. Because failing to plan is planning to fail. Okay. Ray is saying, which female leaders in business do you follow? If you were a woman, who would you like to be, or who would be your female you? Yeah. Well, that's a great question. Yeah. I get Sheryl Sandberg. As much as I criticize Facebook, I think she's done a great job from an operations perspective. So she comes to mind. When it comes to media empires, one of my heroes is Oprah Winfrey. She's incredible. She's amazing. She's a great salesperson. She's great at business, obviously, and she's a great humanitarian. So I really look up to her as well. But I have to say, there's not enough female leaders out there, and it breaks my heart. And I was on the board of this great organization that one of my students founded at San Francisco State, Brenda, and it's called Providing Opportunities for Women. And Brenda gave this really empowering speech in class. And she said that, and this is tragic, there's more CEOs in America named John than there are women CEOs. Think about that. Scary. Things are getting better, but we certainly have a long way to go. And, I criticize the venture capital industry here on the West Coast because it's getting a lot better now. And I'm not going to name certain companies. You can do searches on articles that were released in the past couple of years on this. But it feels like Sand Hill Road is still, dominated by, white men. It's sad. It's getting better, but for as progressive and forward-thinking and socially accepting as California is, it's one little pocket that's still a little bit ass backwards, to be honest. It's getting better, but they've got a lot of work to do. Yeah. But in terms of who would I be, the female you, I would probably be Oprah. I love her. Like she's amazing. She's like a six-tool player as well. She knows how to market, how to sell, and she's interesting too. I'd love to meet her one day. Yeah. And I actually have one of my posters here. It's got Oprah in it as well. I put it on the back. Yeah. Maybe I'll put it up there next week. Yeah. She's got a lot of great quotes. So search for Oprah Winfrey quotes. Next up is, how do you set alerts for big changes in stocks? Okay, and I talked about that earlier as well. Thanks. Next question is from Ya Amo, who's saying, good morning, Chris. Welcome to the call. First time I've seen you, and I hope you join us again. Thank you. So your question is, can you please explain pro rata threshold? Thank you very much, and God bless. Thank you, and God bless you more. So what pro rata means, it's a Latin term, which means not getting diluted. And I'll explain that. So let's say that I start a company, and I make this blender bottle, okay? The Blender Bottle Corporation. And it's 100% owned by me. Then what I do is this rich person comes up to me and says, I would like to invest in your company. And the rich person says, I'll give you $1 million for half of your company. And so I'm like, okay, great. I'll take your $1 million. Thank you. You'll never see me again. No, just kidding. I'll take your $1 million. And so because they bought half the company for $1 million, that means the value of the company is $2 million. So I own half of it. and they own the other half. Then what happens, hypothetically, is a great venture capital firm a year or two later will approach the blender bottle company and say, I want to invest $5 million in your company. And I'm like, okay, great. We could sure use the proceeds to help us grow. And so Sequoia and I decide that the value of the company is now going to be $20 million. So they put $5 million in and they own 25% of the company. What about that earlier investor who owned half the company at a valuation of $2 million? What happens to them? Are they going to get diluted and no longer own 50% of the company? No. They have the pro rata rights to invest more money in that next round when the company is being valued at $20 million so that they still own half the company. So I get diluted, me, the founder. This first investor has the pro rata rights to invest more money so they still own the same percent of the company. It's the right. They don't have to do it, but they have the pro rata right. And a lot of venture capital firms will reinvest in future rounds, but some never do. Like there's a great venture capital firm called Benchmark, and I used to work in the same building as them, and they were one of the first investors in eBay, and they usually don't invest in future rounds. And that's not to signal that they're not positive about the company they're investing in, but it's just their policy. But everybody, usually the big venture capital firms, have the pro rata right to invest in future rounds so they don't get diluted, so they still own the same percent of the company if they want to. All right. And next up, we've got Kim, who's saying, what do you personally feel are the business/society trends and needs for the future? Yeah. I would say I agree with Mark Andreessen, who's a wonderful venture capitalist, in that software is eating the world. And so I think that any sector that has not been materially disrupted or augmented by software is probably a great place to invest in. And I think the unfortunate reality of this COVID crisis world we live in is we're going to be working from home much more often. And it sucks. But there's a silver lining to it too. I get to spend more time with my kids, and I can't get that time back. And so I think that every company has got to, and they have, a lot of them have already, certainly embraced this new digital reality of work from home. And I think companies have to also invest in making sure that their employees have great backdrops at home as well, right? And great camera setups. There's a market for it because you never get that second chance to make a great first impression, when you're talking to potential customers. Yeah. So I think that it's incumbent upon big companies to make sure that they provide their employees with all the best tools to be able to work from home. Jason is saying, good morning, Chris. Good morning to you too, Jason. Next up is Melody, who's saying, thank you for the recommendation for the Rode microphone. Oh, you bought it? Good. You said I got it yesterday. And it's awesome because it fits right on top of your Canon M50 as well, which is probably the best vlogging camera out there because the screen pops around to the right. And on the top, in the hot shoe mount, you can actually put the Rode mic, which is amazing. Unlike other cameras, which are moronic, where you flip the screen up so you can't put a microphone there. Yeah. And for those of you not familiar with Rode, it's an amazing company based out of Australia that makes unbelievable audio equipment. Yeah. And then you wrote, any tips on how to use it? And do I need a dead cat with this? No. It is so easy. All you do is you plug it in to the microphone port on the side of your Canon M50, which I know you have. That's it. That's it. And in terms of a dead cat, so what Melody's referring to is, pardon me, sometimes you'll see newscasters outdoors that are being interviewed or interviewing others. And they have a microphone, something like this, but they have this big fluffy thing around it, which is unfortunately called a dead cat. I don't know why they do. I'll have to Wikipedia that later. But you do that only outdoors because there's lots of wind. And so a dead cat, such a silly term, but a dead cat will stop that distracting wind noise. You don't need that because you're going to be recording your Udemy courses, as you mentioned before, in your house. Yeah. Only get the dead cat if you're going to walk outdoors and vlog. Yeah. But it's just plug and play. It's that simple. Yeah. And the only critique I have of that product is just how to fit in the D size battery and it's just a pain in the ass. Yeah. I always break the trap door on it. Okay, next up is Pratap is saying, hi, sir. Call me Chris, please. I have goals, and I have plans to achieve them, but I am too slow in execution. Can you please suggest me some guidelines to improve the execution speed? Thank you. Love from India. Much more love here from the San Francisco Bay Area. Thank you. So I think you have to set a deadline for all your goals. Otherwise, it's just a dream. And most people give up on their New Year's resolutions by the third week of January because they don't set a deadline date. And so when it comes to your goals, I would not only set a deadline date, but I would also vocalize your goals. Tell people about it because it'll put pressure on you. And I say it with love in my heart. It'll put pressure on you to get it done. You know, if I say I'm going to write a book by the end of this year, and I tell everybody, well, when it's close to the end of the year, everyone's going to say, how's that book coming along? So you got to set a deadline date and you got to vocalize your goals as well. Okay, next up is Jason, who's saying, thanks for everything I've been through with Morgan Haroun Sachs. That's my pretend company, MHS. It's got a long but not so rich history since 2017. And what Jason's referring to is in my course called the Complete Financial Analyst Training Course, you join a pretend company called MHS, Morgan Haroun Sachs. And I have you rotate through all the divisions in the different financial analyst roles, investment banking, sales, trading, private wealth management, etc. You wrote, I love the course. It's simply amazing. Thank you. And then you wrote here, I just read a Determinants of Portfolio Performance by Brinstone. It's amazing insight, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm so sorry. I don't know anything about that book. I apologize. Yeah. But when it comes to portfolio management, you want to make sure that you have at least 20 stocks in your portfolio so that no positions more than 5% of your portfolio. And make sure you diversify by asset class, meaning stocks, bonds, commodities, real estate, as well as by different markets in different countries and different sectors as well. Like, don't just buy all tech. Make sure you have industrials, retail, whatever it is, financial services. Yeah, thank you. And next up is Zin, who's saying, I'm starting a physical product company for spine health. And it's so funny you mention that because what I'm wearing right now, along with my cross, is this. This here is for my back. I'm trying to make my posture better. It's made by this company called Upright. It's a decent product. This is Gen 2. And you could stick it on your back so you don't need this. Or you can actually plug this in and it's magnetic, this thing. And then I just let it hang down my back. And whenever I'm slouching over, which happens a little bit too often lately, right? This thing will send out an electric shock that's really painful. No, I'm just kidding. This thing will vibrate a little bit so that I make sure I'm sitting up properly. Because the problem is that, especially with a lot of younger kids, like when they use iPhones or Android handsets, a lot of times they're hunched over. And you got to tell your kids or yourself, and I'm a hypocrite for even saying this because I'm starting to become a bit hunched. You got to tell yourself that I have a grapefruit under my chin every time I'm typing on my handset. And that will stop you from leaning over. But this has been a pretty cool tech product. I'm part of the whole QS movement or quantified self movement. So I use this. So anyway. And your question is, I'm starting a physical product company for spine health. What can I do to increase my odds of success given startups that sell physical products are facing tougher times finding investors and press? Yeah. Oof. It's hard when you make a physical product because you got to worry about inventory as well. But what I would try to do is I would use the concepts of Edward Deming, a brilliant economist, and Japanese manufacturing techniques, and use JIT, just in time, which means produce the product at the last second. Or you can use Michael Dell's strategy. And Michael Dell started Dell Computer, obviously, out of his dorm room in Texas. What he would do is he would sell you computers based on how you configure them online. And once you order them, then he would build them. So he doesn't have cash flow issues. I would try to do that as well. I would try to only produce the product, if you can, the second somebody orders it. And if you buy any books on Amazon that are soft cover, if you turn to the last page, you'll see the date it was printed, and it's usually the day that you order the book. And it's on-demand printing. It's amazing. It's incredible. Amazon is so incredibly well run. If you're in Europe, when you open that book, the paperback, and you look on the last page, it'll say the day it was birthed, and it'll also say made in Poland, which is where they make a lot of their books in Europe. If you buy it here on the West Coast, I'm one dumb comment away from ruining my career. I get it, but I like to joke around. Bad dad humor, sort of. But if you buy it here on the West Coast, if you live in Palo Alto, then you'll see it's made in San Bernardino, California as well. So think about that. Think about producing your product after you collect the money, if you can. Because inventory can destroy a company. And I'm doing a case study for my MBA students. I got to show you this. You guys love this. All right, so the video game sector was destroyed in the 1980s because of overproduction. And this is fascinating. Okay, so what happened was in the 1980s, obviously E.T. was a great movie. Steven Spielberg is a rock star, that guy. But what happened was in 1982, the Atari Corporation, they made this E.T. game. And everyone thought it was going to sell like hotcakes. And then what happened was they made too many of them. It sucked so bad. It was the worst game ever. Like you had E.T. chasing these little M&Ms, Reese's Pieces, whatever it is. Which, by the way, Steven Spielberg made that up while he was filming E.T. That's how brilliant he is. But it's a brutal game. And let me see if I can actually show it to you. The back. They made way too many of these things. And this is just what came in it. Remember Raiders? Love that movie. Let me just zoom in here. Give me 1 second. They made way too many of these things. And here it is here. It was just awful. Yeah. Ouch is right. Yeah. Cut my finger there. Sorry. But it was brutal. So what happened was they ended up burying all these things in the middle of the desert in the United States because they had so many of them. And I actually bought this for a case study. And it destroyed the whole video game market, was destroyed. And I remember back then it was dominated by Atari, Intellivision, and Coleco. And Coleco, it stands for the Connecticut Leather Company. And they used to make great video games as well and consoles. So the whole sector went belly up because of mass production. And inventory can destroy a company. Please be careful. And eventually Nintendo came into the market in '85 with the Super Nintendo, or the Nintendo system, NES, and then Super NES and all that stuff. And then Sony eventually entered, and then Microsoft entered because they're worried because Sony, with their PS1 and PS2, they thought that people might be using your television at home as your computer monitor, and the computer is the Sony PlayStation. So Microsoft entered the market, and the rest is history. Yeah. So just be careful when it comes to inventory. All right, next question is from Maël, who's saying, "Hi, Chris. I'm a 17-year-old French student, and I just wanted to thank you for all your courses and videos on YouTube. You really inspire me. Thank you. I appreciate that. Je veux faire le classe matinée ce matin." Yeah. Speaking of that, I gotta have some breakfast. I gotta have a little bit of my petit déjeuner, my small lunch. So this is greatest hits of every antioxidant you can think about. It gives me more energy and hopefully will make me live much, much longer. The reason it's purple today, by the way, and this is a Ninja blender bullet product, pretty cool. The reason it's purple is because I put in acai, which is this great organic South American fruit that gives you a lot of energy. Yeah. All right, I'm done with my petit déjeuner, my small lunch. And then you wrote here, you taught me so much about finance, success, and most importantly, happiness throughout your courses that I will be eternally grateful to you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. And you wrote, here's my question. How do you think that COVID-19 will affect people's lives and even businesses for years and the next decades to come? Thanks again for everything, Chris. Take care of you. Thank you, Milo. I appreciate it. God bless you. So I think just the new digital reality, unfortunately, is that a heck of a lot more of us are going to work from home. It sucks, but there's a silver lining. You can spend more time with family. You can't get that time back either. Because statistically, by the time your child is 12 years old, you've already spent 90% of the time you'll ever spend with them. But now that we get to work from home or stay home longer, and yes, times are tough, and I pray every day we get through this quickly, you do get to spend more time with your family, right? So there, I'm holding my kids there, my 3 sons. But I do think that the reality is that we have to learn how to work from home. We do. And a lot of companies have got to understand that they have to provide their employees with the absolute best technology to work from home, because you never get that second chance to make a first impression. So people should have great setups at home if they work in sales. And what I'm showing you here, my setup, it's not that expensive to do. All you need is an iPhone or an Android handset. That's it. And high-speed internet. And if you want to stream like I'm doing, you can do it for free using a product called OBS, which stands for Open Broadcast Software. But anybody can do it. Anybody can set something up like this. Yes, I overdo it. I get it. I make a lot of mistakes. But you already have everything you need to build something far bigger than yourself. And that's a great quote from Seth Godin, who's probably the best business teacher on the planet. And you can take my video production masterclass course on Udemy to learn how to create a backdrop like this. And you see on the floor there, those tiles, my floor cost $20 for what I have there. I have $40 worth of these panels, but I've laid down 20 tiles so far. You see that? It's just, these here are little bricks that you kind of snap together. It's pretty cool, pretty cool. Anyway, a little bit off topic there. But I think that companies have to invest a lot more in the infrastructure that employees have at home, meaning the best equipment, the best cameras, etc. Because again, you don't get that second chance to make a great first impression. Next up is Fred, who's saying, hi, Chris. I've gone through your business plan course and it's excellent. Thank you. Appreciate it. How can I maximize the knowledge obtained into a business? What approach can I use based on your course? Yeah. The most important thing I could tell you is not setting up a business plan and writing a thorough business plan before you launch a company is a recipe for disaster. It really is. And I think the most important thing I can tell you is try to make a service or a virtual type product like what I'm doing here by teaching, because I'll never have inventory problems at all. And also try to make sure from a sales perspective, you partner with a company that's going to take a cut of the revenue, but they'll distribute your product. So for me, it's Udemy. And so Udemy distributes my product because the loneliest place in the world is page 2 of Google search rankings, but they distribute the product. So try to find distribution and also try to make sure that you don't produce an actual product. And if you do, try to have it created or built after somebody orders it, commensurate with what Michael Dell has done with Dell computers. Okay. And Dr. Goldie is saying, hi, everyone. Hey, Dr. Goldie. Hope you're doing well. And Goldie Hawn, actually, she and her husband and their kids, they'd spend the summers up at Muskoka, where my brother has a cottage. Yeah. They have a nice cottage, too. Yeah. Bill is saying, hi, Chris. Hey, man. I've watched your videos on Prime, Amazon Prime, and as a result, I have a new career. Excellent. Thank you. And congratulations. And you wrote, I'm asked to document my goals for future performance review and metrics. Do you have a video for this? Yeah, absolutely. Just go to my YouTube channel and do a search on the word goal or goals, and you'll see plenty of videos. So what I do is I vlog every single day, and I will do so for the next 10 years and the rest of my life as well. I'm having so much fun. But if you go to my website, which is harouneducation.com, you can go up here to daily vlogs. And I have all of them here. I'm going to index it as well. So, for example, you can click here and you never leave the website. It's all done. The founder of a startup have a majority of stock share. Yeah, I guess that's the one we published today. Yeah. But you can see here, it's and we're on episode 699. We're almost at 700. Goodness. Wow. We got a big milestone coming with this weekly webcast. We'll be on week 100 soon, but we'll be on within a year. Wow. 1,000 vlogs. But this is endless, right? You can just go through it. Or you can just go to my YouTube channel and do a search on the word goal setting or goals. And I've got plenty of videos that I humbly think will help out tremendously. And if they don't, please let me know, and we'll work on a plan B on this weekly webcast. Thank you. And David is saying, hey, Chris, hey, man, hope you're well. And then Cheva is saying, hi, Chris, hope you're doing well. Do you think, likewise, do you think cryptocurrencies can overtake the US dollar? And what are the edges on crypto on dollar, do you think? Yeah. So I think that, and I made a course on Udemy called the Complete Cryptocurrency Course. It's 24 hours long, and I poured my heart into it. And I hired people to help me out that were so good that the NSA showed up at my house one day. It's a true story. Because they were doing a background check on one of the people that I worked with. And they never said why, but it's probably because they were looking to hire one of those people. But I did such deep research on this. And you can always do a search on YouTube on cryptocurrency course and make the first 6 hours free. And I figured out, by the way, how to come first in YouTube search rankings. So whatever country you're in, it doesn't matter. If you type up cryptocurrency course, I'll come up first. If somebody advertises, they'll be above me there. But I figured out the algorithm. And I also have a course called the Complete YouTube Course where I teach you how to do that. But when I first started making the cryptocurrency course, I was 7 out of 10 bullish or positive on the cryptocurrency market. And by the way, whenever somebody says bullish, it means they're positive. And bearish, it means they're negative. So I was a 7 out of 10. It's the best bookends ever. Although these here are the most Canadian bookends ever. But when I started making that course, I was 7 out of 10 bullish on cryptocurrencies, positive. And by the end of it, and it's 24 hours long, it took me 6 months of my life, but I enjoyed it. By the end of it, I was a 3 out of 10. And I realized that most cryptocurrencies are an absolute scam. But there are a handful of cryptocurrencies that I think are decent investments. Always do your own research, please. But in the interest of fair disclosure, I'll tell you what I own, and I'll never sell. Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Ether, ETH, which is on the Ethereum platform, Ripple, and Litecoin, which is like Bitcoin's little brother or little sister. You got to make sure that you understand what the implications are, though, in terms of supply. Like the problem with the US dollar and all fiat, meaning paper-based currencies, the problem is that there's no limit on how much they can make. That sucks. You know, you and I work so hard for our money that we make. You know, she works hard for the money like Donna Summers. I got that song in my head. Hi, I'm old. Dated myself. But you work hard for the money. What happens is governments can dilute your net worth by printing tons more money. That's not fair. And so cash is probably the worst investment you can possibly make. And I want to show you an exhibit. Hold on one second. Superman was just a prop. I tried to get the hero pose, man. It's so hard to do, you know, with the fist pen. It just doesn't work. Okay. Oh, here it is. Good. It's in here. All right. So I'm going to show you something that's going to blow your mind. And by the way, I bought this from Tiananmen Square. back in 2000 when I was on my honeymoon with my wife. We went through China, and it's a Ming Dynasty vase. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to show you something that's going to blow your mind. You ready? What you're about to look at here, and let me get my Zoom thing here. This here, and this has nothing to do with this Ming Dynasty vase here, okay? What you're about to look at is something I bought in Jerusalem. Okay, right? Here it is here. Okay, oh. There we go, good. Okay. This here is a coin I bought from the year 30 AD. And it's got Pontius Pilate on one side. And it was alive, or it was in circulation when Jesus was alive, my biggest hero ever. How do I have that? And you're thinking, Chris, that must cost a lot of money. It doesn't. It doesn't. It costs next to nothing. Why does this cost next to nothing? And why is it that Roman Empire-based coins cost next to nothing? Because the Roman Empire failed because they printed too much of this stuff. They made too many of these things. Oops. And in all excavations in Israel, they're always uncovering more and more of this stuff. You can get this for really, really cheap. It's amazing. They made too much of it. And so governments can dilute your net worth by making more of this stuff. You know, history does repeat itself. They've done this over and over and over again. And I think the worst investment you can possibly make is keeping your money in cash. And you can take my MBA degree program and I can teach you how to diversify your assets and do deep due diligence and research on companies so you can preserve your wealth and hopefully grow it longer term as well. But the worst investment you can possibly make is cash. So cryptocurrencies, they kind of became popular in early 2009 when this person or entity called Satoshi Nakamoto, maybe, we don't know if it's that person, but that person might have created Bitcoin. And Bitcoin was created because of this, because of the fact that it's not fair that governments can dilute us. Like Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwe dollar, actually, the daily inflation rate in late 2008 was 98%. That means that every day, the money that you have, it's tragic, in Zimbabwe, was getting cut in half. And after World War I, Germany, they printed a lot of money to try to rebuild their economy, and it was disastrous. The Deutschmark was worth next to nothing. And you can search online, and I got to show this. This just blows my mind. This is fun to look at too. All right, so if we look here, and I will spell it wrong, so Deutschmark inflation. Okay, hyperinflation. Let's go to images here because I love looking at pictures. Okay, yeah, here it is here. All right, it was so bad that kids in Germany were making wallpaper out of it. They were playing with it. Look at this. They're playing with it. People had to actually go to market with a wheelbarrow just to be able to buy stuff. Yeah, here's a great image here. This one's iconic here. This picture here. After World War I, if you want to buy anything in the marketplace, you had to just put in tons of, and this is inflation, how awful it was, hyperinflation, right? And I actually have this one as well for my MBA degree program, just an exhibit. But it was brutal, man. It was brutal. And it was so bad that actually Volcker, who's the Federal Reserve chairperson in the United States, God bless him, he's no longer with us. And the Federal Reserve, by the way, in America is the governing body that decides how much money to print. And what happened was around 1980, there was such high inflation, meaning the price of everything was going up too fast. And the only way to stop prices going up a lot is to massively raise interest rates. And so what happened was in America, America is really, really worried about inflation in 1980. And so Volcker called up Helmut Kohl and his buddies in Germany, and under their tutelage, he learned about how to control inflation. And the way you control inflation is by raising interest rates a lot. You kind of change the amount of money that's out there in the marketplace. So it's out of our control in terms of how much money can be made by governments. It's not fair. And this is why cryptocurrencies exist. All right. Let me clean up this here. A clean desk is a happy desk. When I used to work at Goldman, my boss would always say, she was cool, that it's always cool to have a clean desk by the time you show up to work the next day. Let me wipe off some of this Ming Dynasty vase stuff. Thank you, China. All right. And the reason I have two mice, whatever it is, things here is because I look at my questions here on another computer using different broadband, because I don't want to mess up the broadband here. And this here is my production machine that I control with my feet with my pedals. I am a nerd, I know, but I'm a happy nerd. All right. And Manas wrote here, Malala got a graduation degree. That's cool. No, she's certainly going to get a lot of honorary degrees for the rest of her life for obvious reasons. And there's a great poster there, yeah. Somebody should make a movie about her. She's amazing. She's so well spoken too, and self-deprecating. Like I watched her Nobel Prize speech, and she started off by joking about herself and her relationship with her siblings, and she's awesome. I love her. Next question is, Chris, what are you doing for the 100th episode? I don't know. Like we're on episode 97 now. I don't know. Let me know what you think I should do. Yeah. It's surreal though, 100. I've probably done like 1,000 hours now of all these webcasts, including the webcasts I do for my MBA degree students. Yeah. It's getting better. It's getting fun. But I want to keep pushing the envelope out and hopefully humbly teach everybody on how to be an army of one based on the mistakes I make. And these here, you can see my feet here. And by the way, if you're curious what's under my feet here, this here is a treadmill. And it's because I work crazy hours, but this is actually how I get my exercise in. So I raise the desk up here, and I take the chair off, and I walk. And this is a fully desk, F-U-L-Y or L-L-Y, I think, .com. And I bought the same desk for my employees as well, because I love them, and I want them to be happy and enjoy working. And you burn more calories when you're standing anyway. Yeah. All right. And then Ronan Donovan is saying, hey, Chris, I hope you're doing well. Thank you. Likewise. And thank you for all the likes on LinkedIn this week. Appreciate it. And then you wrote, I look forward to hearing your interesting, informative thoughts and advice today. Thank you. Thank you. This is fun. It's fun. The only problem with this call is it doesn't last much longer. I used to do this until there's no more questions. And I never get up, ever. And I remember it was October 31st, 2019. You can go back and watch the video if you want. It was 9.5 hours straight. I didn't get up once. And Melody actually came on. I remember that with your kids before they went out for Halloween in their costumes and stuff. And then I went out for Halloween with my kids, and I vlogged at the Carolyn's Mansion, which is this iconic house somewhere here in California. Yeah. Okay. And then Gerson is saying, hi, nice to see you again, Chris, and thanks for being here. Thank you. Likewise. Next one is Maud, who's saying, can you recommend any online courses or curriculum to become very fluent in English speaking with an accent removal and a sound like native American English speaker? Yeah. Yeah. Don't lose the accent. Accents are so charming. Don't lose the accent. Otherwise, you'll sound like everybody else. Just stay with your accent. It's so interesting for me, actually. I didn't realize my dad grew up in Egypt. I didn't realize he had an accent until I left home and I went to university when I was 18 or 19, whatever it was. Yeah. But don't try to lose your accent. Just be you. But if you want to learn how to speak English a little bit better or whatever, what I recommend doing is I recommend watching movies. This is fun. Or Netflix, and always turn on closed captions. Always. Yeah. That's probably the best way. All right. Next question is, hello, sir. With the rise in technology and AI, do you think everybody should learn programming languages? And if yes, then which language should one go for? I think that you should do what you enjoy from a tech perspective. For me, when I was younger, I did C++, Java, COBOL. I am that old. That's computer business-oriented language, mainframe stuff. Oof. And Visual Basic and others. I love Visual Basic, and I was the best at it because I enjoyed it. It was fun just drawing buttons and widgets and using a little bit of code to tie them all together. Do whatever you enjoy. But I would say there's a couple languages, maybe Ruby on Rails, as well as Python. And you can go to udemy.com and take courses on those aforementioned topics and how to make iPhone or Android apps from two great professors based in England. And they speak gooder than me because they're based in England. One is Dr. Angela Yu, and the other is Rob Percival. They're awesome. And they make learning fun. And anybody can do it. Doesn't matter what background you have. Doesn't matter if you've never touched a computer before. They teach you from scratch. It's fun. And it doesn't matter how old or how young you are. You can always reinvent yourself, starting today. Next question is Naveen. After post-COVID-19, how many startups will end up bankrupt in the world? I mean, percentage. Yeah. Well, even before COVID, most startups never make it. Most startups never do. In fact, when it comes to venture capital investments, it's usually one, and sometimes two, but usually one company that does exceptionally well in their big portfolio that makes them money. Everything else goes to zero. It's a loser investment. Yeah. And for every Google, there's a gazillion other startups similar to Google that never made it. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think the percentage will. It'll be tough because a lot of companies are walking dead already because they won't be able to raise money. But the ones that do raise money, I think, have a much better chance of success, just because percent-wise, fewer companies will be getting capital, if that makes sense. Yeah. But I don't know the number, but it's way over 50%. It always is and always will be with startups. Startups are very risky. Yeah. Next question is, hi, Chris. Can we choose multiple majors in your MBA program? Like, can I take entrepreneurship and strategy majors if I want? Thanks and regards. Yeah. So there's 5 different tracks and core courses that you have to take. And there's a lot of electives coming soon too. So those 5 core are as follows: entrepreneurship, personal growth, sales, marketing and communication, finance and accounting, and economics management and strategy, EMS. And so those are the 5 core courses or part of the curriculum you have to take. And then after you've completed all that, there's going to be a lot of electives that are going to be added to. And I'm going to be adding content to it forever. Yeah. Okay. And then Kemi is saying, good morning, Chris. I just want to say thank you. And hearing you speak brings joy to my heart. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you for being amazing. Thank you. And then you wrote, I have a special request. You said ask and it shall be given. Can I get one call with you? Sure. Let's do it right now. Okay. So let me know, Kemi, and I'll go to the end of all the questions here. And I will open up Zoom right now just for you. And we can do a Zoom call live. But let me know if you want to do that, okay? And then I'll immediately make it happen here. I'll turn on Zoom and we can talk live. So let me know, please. Okay. Next up is Solly in the house. Solly saying, hello, Chris. Hello, chat. Solly is one of my unbelievable MBA degree students. And Solly is, he's Iranian, but he lives now in Lithuania. And he's got an incredibly positive attitude. And on his wall at home, and I've seen this because we've done a lot of Zoom calls together, he has a lot of sticky notes he puts on the wall with all of his goals, and he categorizes them as well. And he just started his own company. He's a JavaScript programming expert, yeah, and a rock star. And Shubham is saying, I love How to Win Friends and Influence People, the book I mentioned back there. Yeah, yeah. You said you read it a few years ago. I will read the second book you mentioned. Yeah. The second one is called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. This red one here by Dale Carnegie. That one there, by the way, is How to Win Friends and Influence People. This here is The Intelligent Investor, which is Warren Buffett's favorite book. And this here is The Historic Turnaround of IBM by Lou Gertzner. Which is called Who Said Elephants Can't Dance. And these here are just these little bookends I got on Etsy. That's a bull for the stock market. When it's doing well, we say it's a bull market, or I'm bullish, I'm positive. That's a bear. And when the stock market's not doing well, they say, oh, it's a bear market. I'm bearish on the market. I'm negative. Bull positive, bear negative. But these are the most Canadian bookends ever. And my parents downsized. They used to live in a house in Mississauga, Canada. Now they live in an apartment, and they were going to junk these. And I was like, dude, no way. You just can't throw those things out, because it reminds me of Moosehead beer, which I used to drink when I was younger. Yeah. All right. Next question is, Shubham is saying, have you read Start With Why by Simon Sinek? If so, please share your reviews. I've not. A lot of people ask me about that. I haven't read his book. I don't read very much anymore, actually. I just kind of create content. Yeah. And if I do read, I listen to audiobooks I have a Bose little speaker system upstairs, a Bose 500 is what it's called. And I ask Alexa to read my audiobook when I'm getting ready in the morning. Yeah. I stopped asking her for the news because it's just not happy. And then Kemi said, one phone call with you can change my life forever. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so if you want, we can do it right here, a Zoom call, so I can see you as well. Yeah, you let me know. You let me know. And what I'll do now is, let me scroll down really quickly to see. Okay, good. All right, you want to do it. Okay, great. So we're going to do this right now, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. So what I'll do is I'll start up Zoom here, and we'll do a call together. All right. This will be fun. So let me show you what I'm doing here behind the scenes. All right, let me go here to get the Zoom call, and I'll give you the address in a second. Just give me 1 second, please. Yeah, give me 1 second. All right. Oops, it's the wrong one. Open Zoom. And then once I get it set up, I will give you the address as well. Give me a second. Join with computer audio. And let's see if I can get video to work as well. That's the wrong camera. That's my hand there. There we go. Hey there. Good looking guy. Looks a little bit like Bradley Pitts. Just kidding. All right, so we're good to go here. And what I'll do is I will now copy and paste the link in for you to join me here. I got to get my other keyboard, and let me get rid of 2 Chris's, because 1 Chris is all the world can handle. Here we go. Go here. And I will have you join in a second. Just wait. Okay. Good. And give me one. And when we do it, you got to make sure, please, that you mute YouTube or pause YouTube, because there'll be there's sound interference. Okay. So give me 1 second here. New calendar. And I'm going to copy and paste this link for you. Okay. Hold on. All right. There you go. So click on that, and then once you're here, again, make sure you mute YouTube, okay? But you'll join me here, and I'll talk to you live. It'll be fun. And while I'm waiting for you, let me make sure we're still recording. Good. While I'm waiting for you, what I'll do is I'll take more questions here. I'll just read the questions. Okay. All right. So let me go to search, Control F. Give me. Okay. Next question is from Big D, who's saying, Chris, when you were in the 9-to-5 world, What would you have said or done differently in your annual review meeting with your boss if you no longer wanted to work there? Like asking a manager of a small company, less than 20 people. Yeah. Let me answer that in a second. I just saw we got, I guess, is this, all right, hold on. I got a bunch of people joining here, this Zoom. I'll wait until I see Kemi first, because I'll accept Kemi first. All right, hold on. All right, give me 1 second, okay? Hold on. All right. I don't see Kemi yet. So what I'll do, and I'll come back to your question. I promise you, okay? So let me just accept Mohammed. And again, Mohammed and everybody that's doing this, make sure that you're on mute for YouTube, okay? So let me accept you here, and we'll talk. It'll be fun. Why not? Let's do this, huh? Okay, there we go. And if you want, you can actually show yourself. This will be fun. This will be fun. Okay. And then I'll ask Mohammed to unmute. And during the MBA degree program, this is how we do one-on-ones. And also we do Q&A after each. Yeah. All right. So I guess he dropped off. All right. So I'll go back now to questions. All right. All right. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. All right. Here's Kemi. Okay, good. Admit. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, good. Okay. And I can't hear you. Okay, you're connecting audio. There we go. Can you hear me? Hold on. It says, what was it? I can't hear. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. How are you?
Hang on a sec. I need to do my victory dance.
I love it. I love it.
Oh my God.
Where are you based?
So I just moved to Canada. I'm in Brampton at the moment.
Oh, dude, I grew up in Bramalea.
Really?
Yeah. And
Oh
Chincoos,
my
go
God.
to Chincoosy Park. Yeah.
Oh wow. I'm still pretty much getting to know Canada. So I moved from London
Yeah.
and I just have this little one.
Hi there. Hi. Adorable. And I love your victory dance. It's so
Oh, trust me, this has made, you know how 2020 has been filled up with so much, negative things and whatnot.
yeah.
This is a highlight for me. And I
Excellent.
just want to say thank you. I am
Oh,
so
my
grateful.
pleasure.
Um, I'm not gonna ramble too much,
No,
but like
please. Let's talk forever, as long as you want.
everything, your vlogs, they I'm going through PPD at the moment,
Yeah.
and it's God, thank you, Chris.
Oh,
Thank you.
my pleasure. My pleasure. It's so wonderful to have you. And
It's
I loved your.
it's
I love.
been it's
Go on, please. This is your time.
sorry, I'm so excited. It's just been because I just moved from London, and I've been trying to figure out what to do in my life.
Yeah.
I just had this little one, and it's all about her right now, trying to
Yeah.
ensure that I have the best space, for her stuff.
Yeah.
And watching everything that you've put on has been so inspiring. Your networking course, get rid of negative people. Just be
Yes.
you, do you,
Yeah.
it, there is so much. Your cryptocurrency. So I come from
Thank
a
you.
healthcare background.
Sure.
And I'm pretty much passionate about helping people, just like
Yeah.
you. But just sorry, I'm so overwhelmed right now. I'm like close to
No.
tears. Just
No.
seeing you.
Oh, God bless
I'm
you.
grateful. You didn't have to. You didn't have to take this call, but you did.
God
And
bless you.
I can only pray to God that everything you ever do in your life will be successful.
Thank you.
Your kids will always know success all their lives. You'll be
Thank you.
happy. Your wife will be happy. You will never know any ounce of unhappiness in your life.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. I
You
appreciate
know,
that.
I
I,
don't know if you can hear me
yeah,
anymore.
I can't. I think you got to stand a bit closer to the house because the reception. Oh, there you go. I see you now again. Okay, great. Thank you. God bless you. I appreciate that. I'm so touched. I want to give you my MBA degree program for free. So yeah, yeah. So Send me a message over LinkedIn, and I'll sign you up right away. Okay. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you.
My
Thank you so much.
my pleasure.
Okay, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna
Oh,
cry, but thank you.
God,
I'm
God,
really grateful. I would
God bless
send
you.
you a message. I know there are a lot of people who want to ask you questions, so I won't take much
Yeah.
of your time.
No,
I
no
would
worries at all.
pick this up offline.
No worries. Send me a message over LinkedIn,
I will.
and I'll look for it. And then you'll join me in the program. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
I'll send it now. Thank you
Excellent.
so much. Her name is Abby, and she says thank you.
What's your name? Sorry, say again.
Ari.
Ari.
Yeah.
Hi, Ari. How
It
are
means
you?
it means it's a full Nigerian name,
Excellent.
Arioluwa, which means we've seen the goodness of God.
Oh, I
That's
love
what it
it.
means.
I love it. What a beautiful name. Beautiful name. It's so adorable. Hey there. Excellent. Excellent. So yeah. Send me a message over LinkedIn, and yeah, it'd be my pleasure. And I'm very touched and enjoy Brampton. Again, I grew up in Bramalea at 26 Jubilee Court. Yeah. So yeah, I
Hello?
look. Yeah. Can you hear me still?
We
Hello. Hello. Looks like
hello.
I can hear you. Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I grew up on Jubilee Court in Bramalea, very close to where you are right now. A lot of my fondest memories were there. But yeah, small world. Yeah, small.
I'm still getting to know much more about Canada because obviously I moved in February. I
Yeah,
had her in March, and that's when the lockdown happened. So I
yeah,
haven't been able to go out. I
yeah.
haven't been able to do anything. So I've just
Right,
been stuck indoor.
right,
But I've been learning.
right.
You know,
Excellent.
I've been trying not to let things get to me in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
I've been trying to redefine my life because now I'm a mother.
yeah, yeah. Oh, looks like I just lost you. I'm not sure if you're still there. Looks like it paused. Hello? Oh,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Sorry. Yeah, you said I'm trying
Yeah.
to redefine my life, and you are now. I'm a mother. Um, yeah,
It's more about her now. So
yeah,
I'm
of course. Yeah,
trying to do things, I realign my life,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
yeah.
But most especially, I've been looking at trying to create a medical device company in Nigeria to also help people back home because there
Right,
are a lot of people who need help back home.
right.
A lot of youths who can think, who we have human capacity,
Yeah,
but they don't have the right base to do that.
right.
So having watched your vlogs and everything has just, I want my life to have a meaning.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not, I know people say, yeah, chase after the money and whatnot, but
Yeah.
I'm more about change.
Yes.
I'm more about helping people create, being a
Yes.
person of influence.
Yes.
And I see that in you, and you're a big mentor to me. You don't
Oh,
even
thank you.
understand. I can't put that in words.
Oh, thank you.
And
God bless you. God
I can
bless
only
you.
express an emotion. So I can only say thank you for everything that you've been
No,
doing.
my
Thank
pleasure.
you for being you. Thank you for being awesome.
Mm,
Thank you for standing out. Thank you for being different. You're a blessing.
thank you.
You're a gift to
Thank
this
you.
world. And I
God,
really appreciate it.
thank you. God bless you. God bless you. And it's
Okay.
such a pleasure having you on this call, and thank you. And I want to help. I want to help if I humbly can. And
Sure.
so let me help you make your business model and all that stuff. And yeah, send me an email over LinkedIn,
Yeah, I will.
and then I will send you today it's coupon and all that great stuff. Yeah, this is
I'll do
cool.
that right away. Right
Awesome,
away.
awesome,
Thank
great.
you so much.
All right, so God,
You have a beautiful day.
thanks you too. God bless you. Thank you.
All right, then.
Bye
Take care.
bye. See you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Thanks. Adorable. So cute. So cute. That was wonderful. Very cool. Very cool. Thank you so much for coming on the call. And I look forward to exchanging messages with you over LinkedIn. And enjoy Brampton. Enjoy Brampton. Yeah, yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Whew. I love my students. Very cool. All right, let me try and find out where I was here. Hold on a second. The older I get, the better I was. Trying to find my spot here. All right, so I was up to, my goodness, there's lots of questions today. This is good. Thank you. All right, hold on one second. Awesome. That was awesome. It was awesome. Okay, so the next question is, Chris, when you were in the 9 to 5 world, what would you have said or done differently in your annual review meeting with your boss if you no longer wanted to work there? Meaning asking as a manager in a small company. Yeah, yeah. Well, first of all, I'd have. Okay, hold on 1 second. So sorry. Yeah, it looks like I gotta stop the call now. Unfortunately, it's 3 hours have gone by, and I've got my for MBA students only office hours starting in a couple of minutes. But let me answer this one. So, first of all, I'd make sure that I have a plan B, meaning another job lined up. And I always recommend before you quit your company that you ask your boss for a raise or a promotion or ask to get transferred to that other department. Because what will happen quite often is companies will fight tooth and nail to try to keep you. So that's what I would do. That's what I would do. And just be careful though. Like I would keep my cards close to my chest and not exactly tell my boss what you're recommending here until you have a plan B in place. Those are just my humble thoughts. Okay. Well, this has been a wonderful call. My favorite call ever, actually. It's been incredible. And so what usually happens is within 24 hours, my amazing team will go through all the questions and put down what time they were asked in the description field so you can click and get immediate access to the information in the call so I can save you time. So if you subscribe to my vlog, I'll see you mañana, meaning tomorrow. I vlog every day. If not, God bless you and have a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you next Thursday and every Thursday starting at 8 a.m. Thanks, everybody.